Banzarangar Padma Sadarda Ahom 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 Banjarangar 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 Padma Sadarda ahum banzarangara 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 padma sadardo ahum banjarangara 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 padma sadardo ahum Banzaranger 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 Padma Sadardo Ahum Banzaranger
Om Sambara Sambara Bhamana Saramaha Zambaba Hum Palasoha Om Sambara Sambara Bhamana Saramaha Zambaba Hum Palasoha Om Sambara Sambara Bhamana Saramaha Zambaba Hum Palasoha Om Nam Tagaram Janan Hanja Pagdashim Shokji Jana Bjigpaya Sandi Juda Gim the number birds Hokan Lab Shagam Salad Dagjagam Dashi Shoga de me Jalabo Salatan Tunjaburgon Shamba Janwal Geta Walatam Bakan Lagomba Jachira Dagba Janan Hambur Taram Pagatala Walatana Simchan and Hamja Largon Dagba Wada Yatam Zalaba Zarabata Wada Dim Sansaman to be Tashi Walimpi the Wab de Bara Shagpab Jella Sham Zalon Jam Walajan Warden Durjin Zanab Shere Wang Gumbu Shambo Wala Saya Nyambo Japan and Beresil Namki Nyambo Pamchaka Kandab Zan Pala Durji Parkara La Shandan Norwa Dawa Radjanya Maya Shamsanan Laganam Tashi Wadim Chogop Shancheb Senwa Jella Sham Zalalorin China Dim Chogam Tashi Sertia Nyam Dom John Wamzang Yelon Kamala Nyantaga Dondo Panto Walabi Manaba Jalam Sana Wam Jurum Corridor Stair and China Damcho Jarajab Sham Sana Janam Shotip Jarawam Chujab Deep Jadama Garsorango Jambi Walabi Love Tashil Hamo Jalab Sham Zalalo Samba Chimbo Dim John Jen made the Merton Danta Jalabu Yelam Corridor Party Bodan La Wam Mabzanam to Jidin Hardi Don't Durji Janam Bawan Raladrum Churtin Jamsanam Zanas Hasamanis Gelagam Tashi Pilin Jitin Joab Jelab Sham Salalob Dakjaga Dandar Shawa Tumba Lav Gartani Sewa Kanajan name Dotona Walimpil Samduna Yipjan and Trashib Delaga Pensam So Shanankanandal Hami Yubshalam Cho Rurmojan and Chajalazin Labza So Tiji Jalavi Mulam Lim Shomi Kanamzan Chula Pertananji Zigjaraji Namora Nadaya Namu Bangawatim Bandar Saradamradana Tangadaya Arahati Samyak Sambadaya Taliata Banzirim Banzirim Maham Bandir Mahadin Zambandar Mahabiam Bandar Mahabuddha Tambandar Mahabuddha Manjuba Sandramanam Bandar Sarvakarma Warana Bishudanam Bandar Suana Morana Jaya Namu Bangawatim Bandar Sarata Mردana Tangadaya Arahati Samyak Sambadaya Taliata Banzirim Banzirim Maham Bandar Mahadin Zambandar Mahabiam Bandar Mahabuddha Tambandar Mahabuddha Manjuba Sandramanam Bandar Sarvakarma Warana Bishudanam Bandar Suana Morana Jaya Namu Bangawatim Bandar Sarata Mردana Tangadaya Arahati Samyak Sambadaya Taliata Banzirim Banzirim Maham Bandar Mahadin Zambandar Mahabiam Bandar Buddha Satam Bandrama, Buddha Manjupa Sandraman, Bandra Sarvakarma, Warren, Bishudanam Banziri so high Malisim, Janan Kananja, Gonam Jerajan. Dala de hom ji mam zadam jum zadalha ngunam malim jab janam chenan jarap chamadanam kuram jinin dar shangsai sului abdatam rola thim sip shar Zam charam thayin chudam chula bab dagab jalaba Te chadam chumadan jizai zulum Bhagabam jam khola junar kirpala Psham salai Janyala satagam shakji jitana Tisama shakbama ya sangikan Daki mali te tagatam jalala Letang yagayala tang vib shakji o Zambub shirpa mulam Dubdaki Jarawa Tam Jalayala Jemun Samanda Janga Dalanyala Lera Darpai Jarawa Kanara Sham Salalo Darji Dana Dalanyala Sanji Nama Sanji Wina Jipata Tetara Chuja Nama Malipa Tam Jala Jarawa Taki Kanvaramo Tetagam Yapa Mazala Jamso Nama Yanji Yalaga Jamsu Dekananji Jarawa Kanji Yundan Tam Jalab the cave to Medoga Damban Tawa Dambada Salina Nam Dam Shiba Dim Chota Maramim Chota Dipu Dambai Jarva Teta Nam Chupurb Nabza Dambanam Dam Chogadam Shima Peramera Ravanyam Bata Kolepa Charapara Pagapum Chokan and Jarva Teta Nam Chupurb Cholapaganamabla de Chiva, Tita Janava, Tamchalayamu, Zambo Shola, Talput of Taraki, Jaravakanam Sham Salam Chuperja, Dorchaga Zerdan to me, Wangina, Litanya, Tantipson, Yechija, I think Pab the Cape Jipam Chimchipa, Teta Tamchala, the case of Surupshak, Shokji, Jaravakan dance on G, Ranjid and Dam, Love Dam, Love Dam. Rồi cần chim xuân năm anh còn lại tê ta cần chi sập đời con nam ép sọc chim chi tin run mà nam ép sang chi về đến bờ sang chi mà chơi gặp đi gom bồ tê ta gặp đặc kê tham chơi là làm khổ lom lan nam mi đập am khổ vợ gặp nhang anh đã tu năng cam chơi là tê ta làm rồi cần là phàm sang bề vấp sờ Janga dalam yelab ji parayam dake thalmo rabje rabzor rabje sham sadava tam chud cham shapata ji se ram kal jang survai gewa jong zalab dake chap sagapa tham chalab dake sham chip shirab ngoi sham janab ji pa sanji chum dandi tham chada sabchalani pa sham chip sen hua chim bu nam da lama durjim zamba chim bu nam daglar gon so sham chip nyam burum ji ji war sanji nam la chap zim ch chudam sham chip sen hua ye zola an dev jana chap zim ch sham chip nyam burum ji ji war sanji nam la chap zim ch Chudam shang chip sen hua ye zola an dev jana chap zim ch shang chip nyam burum ji ji war sanji nam la chap zim ch chudam shang chip sen hua ye zola an dev jana chap zim ch tar un jib de shag jib shang chip thigna tir pa ta shang chip sen khoi la pa la te ta ram jana ni pa tar dib jana do la pandun da shang chip sen nam jib je shang dib jana da nam la pa la ram ba jan da la par je Chatarang on chip de shagajim, shang chip tin up jerpatam, shang chip sen whip la pala, teta ramjanani patar, Dibjan and Dola Pandun dub, shang chip sim nam jim jason, Dibjan and the nam la pala, rambabs and dub la parabja. Chatarang on chip de shagajim. Shang chip sen whip la pala, teta ramjanani patar, Dibjan and Dola Pandun dub, shang chip sim nam jim jason, Dibjan and the nam la pala, rambabs and dub la Dandi, Daksim Dib, Yudame, Jedbala Paratova, Terang Sanji Research, Sanji Jesa Tacherato, Tanab the kitchen, Ritam Tambuli Zamade, Jumalam Samburim Dala, Yoparam Jarate Tarapsha, Long Wim Shatar Pambuli, Cheterin Chinanian Patar, Tips and Jersey Tartini. Daki teram churpat ham chada jab shangaram do ab de shagan yalatan what de lam dundu was an angel hatan laman la soga gavarji shanchib sim choram boche marchi panamaji jiraji stipanyam bahme parayang kone kondan peverso shanchib sim dam am darajam shanchib shulam zorvata santi namji on jam the jele nama paverso shanchib sim One and Gina, Rutunan Tila, Gondabashom, Gumbo Yena, Gongomba, Simpson and Amla, Tim Jeruso, Simpson and Tamcha of Dita, Dangerji, and Rutam to the Tata over a show, Sanchibas and Wakan Tak Sarvigipa. Teta Ganje Molam Japaresho Mahosha Bechin Barava Wanga Popjanda, Beton Zuru Topa Yeshirka, Macha Debden Bamiram Jani, Durgenia Mana, Chimbual, Churkana Wamtai, Durji Chum, Jitina Wam City, Chazi, Paramajerbum, Kundinga Wam Jiran, not the Zanon Wanson Hereka, Sanwayashi, Bandra Wada, Dem Chondo the Pajalapu, the Chin and Tirim, and later. Em chorip chete mam chotan misag je wam sige de tong kar wam zala durje wa da ki zo na tom nyem ba chim bu nganyata durje Gardieta Samayom, Gamada Sunga, Jadin Kamsamgu, was there a marpum conde, on like Chavaji, Tom Chaleoshan, the Perepshed, Durji Chakapach, and Butitin, and Nami Hodum Dorgim Chotoloja, Durji Chokja, Chimbuyi, and after the Deva Chimburadum Shedapa, Tayam Jalava, Karachan, and the Jacom of Shiva, Jamjip, Ramjam Samawanga, Hatzola, Gibis, and Dips of Shinjilo, Chotan and Hodum, the Game Pantata, Tomina one them Sherbun, Solo, they chin the Baravanga, Popjanda, they don't so sort of pay a circle. Machadeb than a Bamiram Jani, Durjania Mana, Chimbohal, Churkano and Tai, Durjum, Jitin of Wamchi, Chazing, when my dear bum conding a one get in, not just another once in a hair. Some I see Wamshi de Tonkara, Wamsa Durji, Wanda Kiso, and Antom Nimba Chimbong, and Yet Durjika, Garjista Samayo, Garmadasung Jending, Kamsamung, was there a Marbum Kundi, or like Chabaji, Tom to the Ocean, the Parapshet, Durji Chaban, Chimbuti Gina, Nami, Hodrum Durgin, Chotoloja, Durji Chaban, Chimbui, and after the Deva Chimburadum Shilapa, Tai Jim Jala, Karachan, and the Jacom of Shiva, Jim Zip, Ramjam Samawangal, Hatola, Kibi, Servan. Of Shinjilo, Chotan Hodrum, the game Quantata, told me the one that should bring traverse of the Oma Hosh, they send a Barava, one girl pop down the they don't so sort of pay a circa. Macha Deb than a Pamiram Jani, Durjania Mana, watching Bohol, Churgano and Tai, Durjin, Jitin, a warm city, Chazi. I won't get in until there's no once in Erica. Some I see Bandara, them sound of the Jerpo, they chin it, and they game, Tori, Shedema, times of the Wamsi, they don't care. Wamsana Durji, Wanda Kiso, and Antonian Bachimbong on Yadata. Durjeka, Garjista Samayo, Garmadasung of Jadi comes some good. All the Zerma Bukondi, all like Chabaji, Tom Chaleoshan, the Perepshet. Durji Chapach and Butijina, and me would drum their game Chotoloja. Durji Chimbuyi, and after the Deva Chimburadum Shedepam, Tayam Jala, Karachan, and the Jacom of Shiva, Zimzip, Ramjam Samawangal, Hatzola, Kibis, and Dips of Shinjilo, Chotan and Hodrum, the game Fantata, told me the one that Shedapa, Traverse, or Jana, Yergan, Abshan, Sam Balama, Kesara, Dombola, Yamsanam Choka, Mutrabni, Padama, Johnny, Jesus, Takam Kortam, Kandru, among book or Chelichi, Jesus, the Chiefs, Shinji, Lobsher, Shells, Gara, Padama, the Hoy, the Pungaram, some Jedata, Chaparins and Chimbuk Jadash, some new Chief Jedata, Dipsin Quabjel Hasola. So Shinji Lobishana, some Varchasolo, some by Epsin, the Bada, Chodantama, Jerusalem, the Pangaram, some Jadatam, Chaparins and Chimbuk Jadash, some new Chief Jed, Dipsin Quabjel Hasola, Survam Dips of Shinji Lobishana, some Varchas, some by Epsin, the Badam, Chodantama, Jerusalem, the Pangaram, some Jetta, Chaparins and Chimbuk Jadash, some new Chief Jeda, Dipsin Quabjel Hasola, Survam Dips of Shinji Lobishana, some Varchas, some by Epsin, the Bada, Chodantama, Jerusalem. To the Bangaram, some Jetam, Chaparins and Chimbab Jet, Chansom New Jet, the Simkajal Hazola, Zoro and Dips of Shinji Lobishana, some Varchasura, some by Epsin, the Pad, Chodan Tamang, Jerusalem, to the Bangaram, some Jet, Chaparins and Chimbab Jet, the Chansom New Jet, the Simkajal Hazola, Zoro and Dips of Shinji Lobishana, some Varchas, some by Epsin, the Padam, Chodan Tamang, Jerusalem, to the Bangaram, some Jetam, Chaparins and Chimbab Jet, the Chansom New Jet. So and this Shinjil. Shanasami Varchas, some by Gender Badam, Chodantam, Jerusalem, to the Bangaram, some Jatam, Japarins and Chimbok Jet, the Shansam New Jet, the Singabjel Hazolam, so and Dips of Shinjil over Shanasami Varchas, some by Gender Badam, Chodantam, Jerusalem, to the Bangaram, some Jatam, Japarins and Chimbok Jet, the Shansam New Jet, the Singabjel Hazolam, so and Dips of Shinjil over Shanasami Varchas, some by Gender Bad, Chodantam, Jerusalem, Chelam, to Sarvam Tapanti, Dagsagandani, Persapshos, Nataga upon taps of the Javada, Chudam Jashim, Piraver, Zanata, Solo, ti mi le ton ba ni le ta tim jong no am ge mi le zom ji je mi ce le ram de na nam kerem chu chen yem zu wei ren chen san che pa le ni da va ston ba cong mi le shi che sang gi ne ser jem de chen nam san da hui she le dan chu gu sam zo le dor ji ji le zhong ji ge shi ge ye sa nu nam shi ge jian de jiang xiang shi ge yun nyam shi ge der si lom zi le nam ser ji re ter zip ji le huan ba re ba也是我在这里快阳前不你我这边的你的那这这错。Yam zum kurji yom kurjan jamba zamji shji thamni de nam chadab devam chqwa khwal tulwa jab kanan dip dagnil chimbur sal nyanji chimbur sodani mi jam zoni molam chimbu ngabja tab barkar taram ngag sam tu shirmar dogoi tumba tiji janlam shagam salalo dagjana go samage zolom shurb kanam zam churb chند menem bal thogmel neb zag de tomali ba nyanem jurb jag bu susur shag pagdan susur chi orge wan ti zamam sagla ji sayrango zab ja ja chin chujim kurlu salam shag jarjem chal param kurta sul chana nam kartavi yeshir ka ti zamam pomgir me param shigmola ke bdashi namur jenji salatan ja jarp zirka tagdan nawaram zad dake ti sama sagp ge chom jim khachaban ro kan la phandalat chuji jalbo tagper ni bshar jan chuji jalwe kom phan tho per shog dacha ni mim ro am gomil nama thidi tagper zov kwatanale jandan dem dar ren chen nam saman je nawam jim nyel che jin chen ne nyel Hepsara jam chog chong mi le chi per yel chi tal bi nyam ni sur de bana tam ja chim bo man nyel var shan che var tin thi ji jim zanam zodam sanam jad pata zam le pe chen ji stum bush ke le ye shin ji ozdar na zog ba na am chim bo dag dan sim chen tham cha da ji rapa tham chalam sal jan thak ba chim bo lam je yon dan salab jan da ji di shar mar dog bu sanam baram sam la la Stum ba jum dan di tip jana shag ba da jum ba ya da par zo pa sang je kwar je ra shag ja da ba lam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam stum ba jum dan di tip jana shag ba da jum ba ya da par zo pa sang je kwar je ra shag ja da ba lam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam stum ba jum dan di tip jana shag ba da jum ba ya da par zo pa sang je kwar je ra shag ja da ba lam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam Stum ba chum dan di tip jana shag ba da chum ba yang da par zo pa sang je kwar jer shag ja da ba nam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam Stum ba chum dan di tip jana shag ba da chum ba yang da par zo pa sang je kwar jer shag ja da ba nam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam Stum ba chum dan di tip jana shag ba da chum ba yang da par zo pa sang je kwar jer shag ja da ba nam shagim salam chudur jab sam che wam lam Stum ba chum dan di tip jana shag ba da chum ba yang da par zo pa sang je kwar jer shag ja da ba lam shagim salam chudur jab sam che o tariyata ummani mani mahamana izo tariyata ummani mani mahamana izo Mani mani mahamana izo tariyata ummani 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 mani mahamana izo ha ummani mani mahamana izo Mani mani mahamana izo mani mani mahamana izo mani mani mahamana izo mani mani mahamana izo hai devar shag pa chirka chamra tam kurta kitse sata jankamanda Keljem sam chagab zambu chendawa tendran khonrab dagso jervar sho nami sarvata thangata bayom bakhum khambe sarvata khangat saparana mangangana khanso hai je dot tuần cần trở đam ham thơ chi reason by me jim da san chen ja nor va dam da qua tore pho nyen chim solam chata sam da han jam zor chim tu tuần cần trở đam ham thơ chi reason by me jim da san chen ja nor va dam da qua tore pho nyen chim solam chata sam da han jam zor chim tu tuần cần trở đam ham thơ chi reason by me jim da san chen ja nor va dam da qua tore pho nyen chim solam chata sam da han jam zor de cần tập sang mô ye shi ru bi sa la yang ji ja la mo e kan za zhe ma ye shi li dang ji tin ma mo so so lam che tam che mim chen lim zu hoan cần tập sang mô ye shi ru bi sa la yang ji ja la mo e kan za zhe ma ye shi li dang ji tin ma mo so lam che tam che mim chen lim zu hoan cần tập sang mô ye shi ru bi sa la yang ji ja la mo e kan za zhe ma ye shi li dang ji tin ma mo so lam che tam che mim chen lim zu de trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra la tập nam chỉ đông mông chơi chơi tao gia tăng chỉ cái tập tiếp chỉ làm chim số làm chơi tâm chơi mềm chơi mềm rồi trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra la tập nam chỉ đông mông chơi chơi tao gia tăng chỉ cái tập tiếp chỉ làm chim số làm chơi tâm chơi mềm chơi mềm rồi trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra la tập nam chỉ đông mông chơi chơi tao gia tăng chỉ cái tập tiếp chỉ làm chim số làm chơi tâm chơi mềm chơi mềm rồi tâm chân chỉ hoa chém bùi đi liêm cấp chất tâm gia trị chỉ số tam chim số lâm chất tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi hoan tâm chân chỉ hoa chém bùi đi liêm sa lâm tiếp đến tam am dân gang bồ nhị số cấp chất tâm gia trị chỉ số tam chim số lâm chất tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi hoan tâm chân chỉ hoa chém bùi đi liêm sa lâm tiếp đến tam am dân gang bồ nhị số cấp chất tâm gia trị chỉ số tam chim số lâm chất tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi bạn mà hoàng cơ quan nhân nam thâu chi chép dân trắc bờ giết bò yang lệ quê đến giờ mar bò qua quan nam trắc bàm chim số lần chơi tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi chớ bạn mà hoàng cơ quan nhân nam thâu chi chép dân trắc bờ giết bò yang lệ quê giờ mar bò qua quan nam trắc bàm chim số lần chơi tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi chớ bạn mà hoàng cơ quan nhân nam thâu chi chép dân trắc bờ giết bò yang lệ quê giờ mar bò qua quan nam trắc bàm chim số lần chơi tâm chân mềm chân liêm rồi con sĩ cái dân là trăm ba trăm chi chạm đồ tập ngõ trở tế và ran ra tập bài chur cho yếp dân nor vẫn trên nam chi đặc kem sam tu malim nheren jab em zo de am khorn đi chukan katari penga ram dam angal yeshi olangi long Vardanım jambı durcilla namba çapçı yevşinım nur venyela karıksalım zimzaman banca dayı çin çümçelım şıgci ralaca leğvemanam javni kelatron ola zırım milim ço aranan dağbı cendi lam miri salay Chin rawo sterni jang kama san jam khwalen thi jeb shan lab yedalajman jimede phan soy javala solo Debergom jedeshto baim puvar senanji lobo ani chinero sterni jankama sanjam khwalenti Shalab yedalashmanam jimede bhanso jabala solorwa debergom yederto Pshenji Galobo Ani Chinere Wo Sterni Jang Kama Sơn Jam Huan Lê Thi Chếp Sân Lập Yed La Mình Ji Mi Đêm Phận Thôi Gia Bài La Sô Lô Ra Wa Đề Bờ Gom Yed Der Tôi Bàm Phu Bar Pshen Ji Golo Bom Tharnam Lam Olangi Thiler Charang Pshawo Niji Nyawin Tham Jalakan Yeshi Chim Dim Lamada Kalawam Nyambub Shanlab Thob Parasam Chewa Kanta Yang Tagab Lama Tam Jalmelan Chuji Huala Long Shudja Sadan Lam Je Yundun Rabzoni Durjim Changa Gompa Nyer Toba Shoy Jumdan Dim Gombon Jam Holagayan Shagim Salelo Kanga Lob Jujim Yetam Jaranyastranam Tarab Sadavi Chanyala Dungan Jabjam Zipsharanyal Jetikar Lagwan Zan Kantaka Cherpa Zonjar Mariam Tanabding Jizarava Jotsagan Lab of Chigim Tarzi and Lagati Ayandana Som, Dictor Chedrogum, Nyalhon Leje, Chogodrum Zadaja, Mariam Sadadim Gadanyaka, Chimyelachum Zalarat, Nam, Doni Takjans have Jim Tarsuna Yundan Lizojachi, Tavushka, Chachakab Jadam, Jamni, Jamchi, Dagamlom, Salam Jam Hola, Ayala, the Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada. Umara Patanada, 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 Umara Patanada. Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Umara Patanada, Sedanan Keljim Kerava, what is a regime? Daglos, the Migam Barab Salani. Kadam Damju Jonli, Topaya, Lodru, Bolba, Hanawa, Jelata, Solo.
Pakaratargam Santo Sharmato, Tomba Tiji Jana Gisham Sar, Mejaro Sergi Janganza, Johor Tiji Shana Yela. Jime Panzo Jala Soran de Contia Toban for Shinji Lo.
In order to liberate all sentient beings, let's give rise to the Supreme Bodhicitta. And today our class is on the Shrengama Sutra. In fact, when I look at the Shrengama Sutra, it's rather long, and I'm not sure how long I will be able to finish giving the teaching of it. For the Vimalakirti Sutra, we used 2 years, and I think this one would then be longer than 2 years. It looks quite a lot. Anyhow, let's make the aspiration, and we have already made this aspiration, so let's try to finish and complete this. And since we've already made this aspiration, I really hope that you could spare the time to listen and study this sutra. And the best way of studying and listening to sutra is to start well and complete well. So I myself also made this aspiration to finish giving the teaching. Also, I am aware that impermanence could dawn at any moment, and I could die at any moment. But I myself had made the aspiration, if the impermanence of death does not dawn on me, then I will continue the teaching of the Shrengama Sutra. Right now, in the sutra, we are at the part where the Buddha gave a teaching of the 7 attempts of searching for the mind. This is quite important. In fact, we can look at it as a Vajrayana teaching, because it is a pointing out instruction. It is a pointing out of the nature of mind instruction. In fact, Pongso Rinpoche gave a teaching, a commentary on the pointing out of the nature of mind, composed by Mipa Rinpoche. Pongso Rinpoche stated once that this is quite an important text. He taught it once, and I myself translated it before, and earlier I've translated it again to make the language more understandable. Pongso Rinpoche composed a prologue before, at the beginning of my translation of the pointing out of the nature of mind. He stated that there are different ways of observing the nature of mind, and the way that he pointed out the instructions of watching the nature of mind is in fact rather quite similar to the 7 attempts of searching for the mind. In terms of the commentary of the Shrengama Sutra, I think some of the masters didn't really compose a very detailed explanation based on the 7 attempts. However, I think we should try to watch our mind instead of just looking at different kind of commentaries. Master Jiao Guang and different masters, in terms of their commentaries, are a little bit different, and their point of views are a bit different. How is it different then? It differs from the way that they look at the different perspective of the 7 attempts of searching for the mind. Master Jiao Guang stated that the 7 attempts are looking for the place of abiding of the mind, and after the 7 attempts, it started to state about the deluded mind. You have to then find the conceptual mind and deluded mind. So that's how he looked at this instruction. But according to a different master, he said that the previous ones are about the pervasive dharma phenomena, and then the later part started talking about the dependent origination. And Master Chang Shui praised Master Oyi's opinion. where he said that as long as we recognize the nature of the mind, or rather the main part of the teaching of where the mind is, then it is just like you have already destroyed the place of the abiding of the mind, then you don't have to look for other places anymore. Just as if you were to find where the mind generates, or not finding where the mind generates, then you don't really have to look further for other places of where the mind is. And in such a way, you can directly destroy the delusion of the mind. Sometimes some of the masters give the teaching of the Tiantai school of point of view, and some of them started talking about the dependent origination aspect. And for example, Master Jiao Guang, he stated from the perspective of where the mind is and the coming and going of the mind. It's similar to the Vajrayana teaching and more close to the Ati's way of looking for the mind. So the 7 attempts of searching for the mind, I think some people feel that because all sentient beings have this grasping towards the mind, therefore they started to talk about where the abiding or the nature or the substance of the mind from the perspective of the all-pervasive habitual pattern of the grasping of sentient beings. And at the beginning, we've already talked about how the mind is not outside, it's not inside, it's not in the middle. And the 4th one talks about how the mind neither looks in nor outside, and mainly on the inside, and it doesn't look inside either. And from all of these perspectives, we can see, in fact, in Shurangama Sutra, on one hand, we can use the observation or analysis that is used in the Buddhist logic. So you continuously ask the questions, look for where the mind is, and then eventually you'll be able to find that in fact there is no substance. There is the mind is in fact nowhere to be found. So Ananda continuously to pose questions, and the Buddha continuously to answer his question. So Ananda over here is just like how a scholar would pose questions. The scholars would ask questions like if the mind is outside, if the mind is inside, if the mind is in the middle. And they're trying to point that the mind has a substance, and if it has substance, then how it manifests such kind of substance, how it works with such kind of substance. So I think these kind of questions are quite important, because we can't have blind faith. We have to have faith, but the faith that we have should be built on wisdom. It cannot be built completely up on blind faith or blindness. Otherwise, it is superstition rather than faith. So our faith should be built up on detailed analysis and observation. And then when you come with the definitive answer for yourself, then you'll be able to build a definitive view for yourself, and you'll be able to be very certain about your view and your faith. So throughout the whole process of looking for the mind, I really hope that you should look at the mind in the way that is a more than scholastic way, or looking at this whole text with an eye of looking for mistakes. This morning I was talking to a manager, and we were looking at the photograph. At that time, the manager was looking at the photo with a scrutinizing eye, and he kept on criticizing the video, and the pictures. He started to pointing out that someone's dozing off, someone's looking at the cell phone, and someone's really distracted. Someone's wearing a hat. But I myself, when I was looking at it, I thought that the sculpture is really beautiful in that picture, and the person even wearing the hat is very is also showing veneration. I started when I was looking at the photograph, I looked at it from a very positive way, but when he looked at the photograph, he looked at it from a criticizing perspective and scrutinizing all the mistakes. In fact, I think this is how we should look at the text. In fact, I'm not praising myself by saying that I look at everything with positivity. I'm just saying that people have very different perspective, and we ourselves should look at our own intention and our own mentality when we are studying the sutra. I know lots of you are quite smart, and you gained lots of knowledge in your school, and you're very scholarly in many aspects. You've studied through high school, university, and got scholarships all the way through masters and even PhD. And if you were to use your wisdom to only scrutinize the mistakes within the sutras, in such a way, I think your studying of the Dharma won't succeed. So we should then look at the sutra with an attitude of faith. Then in this way, you will be able to build up your, you'll be able to succeed in the Dharma study. And there are people who just follow blindly, who have rather a superstition than faith with wisdom. So I think for such kind of people, it's quite important to develop the skills of analysis and more wisdom. In such a way, your faith will be grounded. So you can't be on the two extremes. Anyhow, there's a story that there's a book that's composed by Master Fa Xian, the journey to the countries of the Buddha. And a journey to the country of the Buddha. In fact, in that journey, in that journal that he composed, it says that he held incense and flowers, and he was at the Vulture's Peak, and he was making offerings of the flowers of incense and the lamps along with other bhikshus. And at that time, he remembered this is the place where the Buddha gave the teaching of Shrangama Sutra. And upon thinking this, he started getting really emotional, and he started to cry. He thought that this is the place where the Buddha gave the teaching of such a profound sutra. However, now it is only left with these sites, and he himself never had the opportunity and the merit to listen to the teaching. And he stayed in the cave over there around the Vulture's Peak for one night. In that journey to the country of the Buddha, in fact, it is stated that the dates that Master Fa Xian looked at the sutra over there were earlier than the actual translation that was translated into Chinese language. So the translation was 750 CE, and Master Fa Xian's date was around 3 to 4 century CE. So he must have then looked or read into the Shrangama Sutra. And another version stated that the text that he read over there was probably the Shrangama Samadhi Sutra. So it is probably a different sutra that is read and chanted by Master Fa Xian. And on top of that, the Vulture Peak is a little bit far from from the Jata Grove, which was where Buddha gave the teaching of Shrangama Sutra. It is also possible that the Buddha gave the teaching of a sutra in various places, and then it was later then compiled into one sutra. So that could also be possible. So it could be the Shrangama Samadhi Sutra, or it could be the Sanskrit version of the Shrangama Sutra, because Master Fa Hsien went abroad at the age of 65 and started to study the Sanskrit language, and then maybe at that time the text that he read at the time was the Sanskrit version of Shrangama Sutra. So it could be either ways. I think when we're studying some text, we should then read extensively so that we can gather lots of information and we can make connections of certain information. Anyhow, I just wanted to share the story of Master Fa Hsien, who then chanted the Shrangama Sutra at Vulture's Peak or Shrangama Samadhi Sutra at Vulture's Peak. It could be either way. Now let's move on to the fifth attempt of searching out of the seven. Previously, we've already learned that mind is not out, it's not inside, is not looking inside or outside. And now Ananda started to say to the Buddha, said that I have heard the Buddha instruct the four assemblies that because the mind, Buddha in fact addressed and instructed the assemblies that because the mind arises, that every kind of dharma, every kind of phenomena then arises, and that because the dharma arises, then every kind of mind arises. So the Dharma here refers to all kinds of phenomena that disappears outside, the variety of manifestations and appearances that is on the outside. Because all of the phenomena in fact manifest from mind, then it is because of that mind then all phenomena would appear outside. And because of all kinds of dharma would arise on the outside, then every kind of mind arises. For example, when you see something really lovely and cute, then you will have the desire that arises in your mind. And if there were something that is quite annoying, then you would probably have this kind of anger arise in your mind. And if you were to say something venerable outside, then you have the mind of admiration arise. So all kinds of things arise from the outside your mind, all kinds of mind would also arise. And then Ananda started to say that as I now consider it, so Ananda said that I've been thinking about it. He said that the substance of that very consideration is truly the nature of mind. So he said that, well, after consideration, there must be a mind. Wherever it comes together with things, then the mind exists in response. So there has to be the maturation of the cause and conditions, and in such a way, then the phenomena and the mind would arise. So before, as Ananda learned from the Buddha, saying that since the mind does not exist outside or inside, then he started to make this consideration, saying that, well, then the mind must then exist in response to the manifestation or the existence of the external phenomena. So he started to say then it must be that when the causes and conditions are both there, then the mind would also arise. So Ananda thinks that, in fact, the mind has substance, because Ananda did not understand that everything is illusory, everything is dreamlike. He grasped onto the existence of the mind or the phenomena. He felt that there's definitely something that is the solid substance that exists, that is just like how the scholars nowadays would think how mind or phenomena exists. And in such a way, he felt that there's no way for him to... In fact, at that time, Ananda did not really understand the illusory aspect or the dreamlike aspect of both mind and phenomena. So over here, he said that I think everything that appears based on the coming together of things. In Madhyamika, it talks about how the causes and conditions mature, or anywhere that is meet with the causes and conditions, then there could be variation. It's not like that at all. In fact, Ananda thinks that there is a solid existing substance that is the mind. So at that time, the Buddha then said to Ananda, saying that, now you say that because Dharma arises, every kind of mind arises. Wherever it comes together with things, so the Buddha started to refute him. In fact, in the sutra, it's not so easy to find where the refutation is. But over here, the Buddha asked him questions. So he asked this question. It says that wherever it comes together with things, the mind exists in response, isn't it? But if it has no substance, the mind cannot come together with anything. So Buddha asked that, do you think the mind exists as something that has substance? But so first of all, if the mind doesn't have substance, then the mind cannot come together or combine with anything. Previously, Ananda stated that, well, mind and phenomena comes as a cause and conditions, and in such a way the mind arises as a substance. And in such a way, then it won't happen. Why is that? Because then, if having no substance, it can yet come together with things that would constitute a 19th realm brought about by union with the 7th defiling object. In fact, there are only the 18 realms, and there is no 19th realm, just like how there is no horns for a rabbit. And if the mind is just like the horn of a rabbit that doesn't exist, then how can you say that it could mix with other phenomena? And if you were to say that the mind doesn't have any substance, then it's just like that you're talking about the 7th defiling object, because there are only 6 defiling objects, and now you're making up a 7th defiling object, and that is not possible, because when with the direct cognition you cannot perceive it. And there is no such principle, and in such a way this is not possible. So that's the first refutation by the Buddha. The second refutation of the Buddha goes, if it does have substance, when you pinch your body with your hand, or if you were to touch your body, I think in some commentaries as a pinch, but in the Tibetan and the Chinese translation, it only talks about touching or in touch with your body by your hand. At that time, when you touch, then your body will definitely have a sense, will definitely feel it. Wherever your hand touches, then it will feel it on your body. And if it has such a feeling, does your mind which perceive it come out from the inside or from the outside? Does this kind of sense come from the inside of your body, or does this kind of feeling come from the outside of the body? So once you have the feeling, then the mind that feels it, does it comes from the inside of your body or outside of your body? If it comes from the inside, then you've made a mistake, because once again, it should see within your body. It should be able to then perceive whatever organs and whatever things that you have in your body, isn't it? We've already talked about it in the fourth refutation, so you cannot say that. And the second is that the second refutation within this is that if it comes from the outside, then you should be able to see your face first. If your mind is this knowing mind comes from the outside, then the mind should also be able to see your face first. But this is not possible either. Because if you were to see your own face, then you have to look into a mirror, or your consciousness get out of your body and flying half in the air and then look back at your body. Then that's how you can see your face and perceive your own face. So over here, the Buddha talks from the two aspects. Does mind have a substance, and does mind this substance of mind comes from inside or outside the body? And then Ananda said that no, this is not what I meant. Ananda said that in fact seeing is done with the eyes, and consciousness and seeing is different. We usually say that whatever we see is the truth. So he said that seeing is done with the eyes. The mind's perception is not that of the eyes. To say it sees doesn't make the sense. So his point was that when you are looking, then you are looking with your eyes. So he's saying that when you see, you don't really see with your mind, you see with your eyes. So that's what is Ananda trying to differentiate. Therefore, when Buddha stated that if your mind is within or looking from outside, you should be able to see your own face or see the inside of your body, that doesn't make sense. So that's Ananda's clarification from his point of view. But the Buddha did not make a mistake as how Ananda assumed. The Buddha then said that to suppose that the eyes can see is like supposing that the doors of a room can see. So he said that, well, you think the eyes can see, isn't it? Then, since you're sitting in the room, your eyes are just like a door of a room. Could the doors see? As we stated before, the eyes are just like the crystals. And over here, the Buddha then used this analogy of the eyes are just like a door. And a person that is the mind sitting inside of the room, and the doors are the eyes.
那么如
Then
果是这个
do you see
眼
with
睛
your
是真
mind
正
or
能见
your
到的话
eyes?
那就是则有什么过失呢？则就是人已经死了，
Also,
但是呢，就是他的眼
if
根
you
还
were
是
to
所
say
存在
that
的，
it
还是
is
有
the
眼根
eye
存在的
faculty that
所以他
sees,
呢就是应该能
then
见万物
when someone has
因
died,
为
but
你
his
说
eyes are
眼睛
still
只能见的
intact
话那
and
就是一个
perfectly
是
well,
在
then
门
his
眼
eyes
是
should
看
be
望
able
能
to
见
see
的
things,
这个
isn't
过失
it?
那么这样推来的话
And
那就是
if the
有
person
有眼根
who
的人
sees
都能
with
这
the
个
eye
见到就这样以
faculty,
后的话呢
it is
那这
just
个尸
like
体有没
that
有
you're
眼睛呢
saying
眼睛
that
是有
the
的
doors
就是
could
应该
see
那这样的话
and
呢
a
他有
person
的
who has
如
died
果尸
could
体也
also
是能
see.
见万物的话呢，那怎么会是死呢？
And
就
if
怎
a
么会
person
会
who's
死呢？
already
因为他明明能
dead
见到东西，
and
是不
his
是？他明
eyes
明见
are
到东西的
still
话呢，
have
那就
this
是他见到
capacity
东
of
西的话，
seeing,
就可以说这
then
个人还活着的，
how
因为
can
他
it
还
be
看得
death
见那
if
种
one
就是
can still see?
那怎么会是这个死了呢？就是他还没有这个死了。那这样的话呢，如果你说是这个眼睛是始终是能见者的
So
话
if you
呢，
were to
那就
say
尸
that
体也
the
是来
eyes
这个照
are
见这个事
the
物有这个
have the
过失。
capacity
其
to
实它
see,
这里呢，有
then
些
you're
是这
saying
个
that if
按照
someone
这
who
个
has
对
already
方的
died
这个
could
观
still
点呢，就是
use
作为这个
the
程序的这个
eye
意义
faculty
因
to
为我们
see.
在讲那个中观和讲英明的时
In
候呢，
fact, this
有些
kind of
是我们的这
analysis
种推理
and
来
this
这
kind of
个
argument
就
is
是
very
推理来
similar
什
to
么呢？
those
就
of
是推理来就是
arguments
就
made
是
in
别人呢不
Madhyamika
得不承
and
认。
Buddhist
比如说
logic.
你说 眼
The
睛呢就是
Pramana
能见，就
teachings.
是如果能见的话，那就是
If you were to
就还
say
有这
that
个
the
就不
eye
该见的很多东
faculties
西
are
都
the
应该
ones
见的。
who can
如果你说是
perceive,
这些都是不能
then
见，那
the
不能
ones who
见的
have
话
the eye
是不是
faculty
眼
should
睛
be
上
able
有
to
能
see?
见和非能见有两个物体？如果有能见和
If
非
you
能
were
见
to
两个
say
物体的话
that
呢，那你不
the
能说是眼睛是能
you
见
can
者啊，就是
both
眼睛是能见的，因为它还有一个它的本体呢。是这个非能见者
has
非能
both
见的话呢，
capacities
你就
of
不能
seeing
说
and
是
not
虽然
seeing.
眼睛有
Then
它
in
能
such
看
a
得到和
way,
看不到的两个东西，但是你就说是哦，
you
它就
cannot
叫做
say
是看
that
到的，就不能叫不能看到的，就是那这样是这个不合理的。比如说一个
you
人呢
cannot
就是
say
他
that,
有
oh,
贫
this
穷
is
的阶
something
段
that
有这个富贵的阶
this
段
person
但是
could
你说
see
实话
and
这个
then
人
not
是富贵的
see
你
at the same
不承
time,
认富
or
贵的你
it
也不
comes
承认
in
这个
system,
贫
it
穷的
comes
一面的
in
话呢就在实践当中也是
in
就很难
phases.
这个
It's just
就
like
做得上
saying
吧
that
就是所以
a
如果是一
person
个完全是一个怎么讲就物质主义者，就是他一定要承认一个实体的话呢，那么这些泰国呢，就是可以我们通过这个
In fact, this is a refutation made
就
to
退出去，就最后的话呢，就是对方就是猪突无亡，
argue
就是
with
不得
those
不承
of
认，就是有这样的一
people
种
who
推理
hold
方法
the
有这样的推理方法
existentialism
否则的
view,
话呢，我们这里
where they see
按照
that
真正的
everything
这个英明的
exists
三
as
项
a
这个推理啊
materialistic
就是以
existence
这个同频
are
和
the ones who
这
could
个语境
perceive.
啊就是还有这个
Then in such a way,
就
you're
是
just
包括它的
saying
这
that
个
the eye
意呐
faculty are
意
the
作
ones
啊
who could
就是这
perceive.
些都是意义的，要成立的话呢，
And
可能有
how
些
about
有
at
些
the time
有
when
些呢
eyes
就是
cannot
就是对
perceive?
方的
So
这
you
个
cannot
程序
really
呢
make
就是
such
作为这
argument.
个因来就是进行推断啊。
And in such a way, it is from, in such a way, it is in fact quite difficult to argue with.
我以前那个法王那个，从99年开始一直到法王
Back in
年纪大概是5年吧
1999, until the time Phuntsog Rinpoche passed into Parinirvana,
法王讲有些比较熟悉的故事的时候呢，
translated simultaneously for him.
讲到一半了。
Sometimes when Phuntsog Rinpoche was giving the story halfway through, I've already finished the whole story because I'm very familiar with those stories. But sometimes when Phuntsog Rinpoche gives a rather very foreign arguments and very foreign stories, and when some terms came up that I don't know how to translate, then I would get really lost. So simultaneous translation on one hand, you don't have to wait for the translator to translate afterwards. You don't have to wait for the consecutive translation. However, simultaneous translation also have its flaws. Therefore, I'm not sure if the translators had made the Pramana analysis clearly to all of you.
如果你说这个了知的这个性呢，你不是说这个了知的这个性，
Ananda,
就这意义
if
上
your
是主要
knowing
是
mind has
就是
substance, is
像
that
这个
substance
性
single
就
or
是有本
manifold?
体的话呢，就是这样的有本体的话呢，就是也
If your
做了一些
mind,
观
which is
察
aware,
然后下面再继
understands,
续
and
就是你
knows,
说这个性的本体呢，
in fact
那么
has
性的本体
substance,
就是
then
就刚才
is
前面
it
是
a
用这个
single substance or
什
many
么
substances?
就是就跟前面的这种推理方法就是结合起来。
The
然后现在
pramana
说
or
如果你的这
the
个明明了知的
analysis
这个
is in
性
fact
呢，就是
very
是有
similar
本
to the
体的
previous
话呢
ones. The
就
lo-
如
the
有
logic
本体的话
is
呢
very
那我
similar.
就可以从四个
So
方
it
面
is
来去
so
观
he
察这
started
个你的这
to
个性的本
refute
体呢，就是是
Ananda
一体的
in
呢，
4
还是多
aspects.
体的呢？
The first
或者
one
是说
is
你
that
这个
is
现
it
在存
one
在的
or
这个
only
身体呢，就是都便于
is
一
is
体
the
的，
substance
就
of
不便于
mind
这个
is
所有的
one
体
or
或
many?
者说是
And
你
does
这
the
个
substance
性呢，就是
perceive
不
the
便于
body
这个
as
身体
it
的，就只
now
便于一
resides
部
in
分。
it,
我
or
们现
does
在有
it
些人也
not
就是什么
perceive
心
it?
在大脑里面，心在心
And
脏上。
this
那
mind
到底
that
是哪一个？
you
它总共有四个方式，
perceive
四个方面的这个观
has
察。如果你说那个心呢，就是这个
is
心
it
是这个一体
everywhere
的
or is it
这个
only
所
at
有的
one
心
place? So
这
there
是这
there
个
are
一
many
体。
ways of
那这样的话呢，
looking
你的
at
这
it.
个受呢，就置于一
So
致
he
的时候，
started
比如说
saying
你的
that
你的这个手呢，就置于这个你的手，或者是你
when
摸着
your
你的
hand
这个
is
脚啊，
touching
就
your
是
foot,
是这样，就这个时候呢，
at
就
that
这个时候
moment,
就是你应该有这个四肢都有这个感觉啊，就是四肢都有
if
这个
it
用手
were
来就是
one,
摸着的这个
then
感觉。
you
比如
must
说
have
这个
feel
手是
that
特别
your
特别痒
hand
然后
is
那个它呢
touching
就是身
all
体都
of
比较
your
软
four
和
limbs,
然后你就
just
摸
as
自己
if
的
your
这个
hand is really cold and
手的时候
touching
呢，
your
你就可能这个
other
手呢，就是
limbs.
马上有
Then
这个
at that
非常这个
moment,
这种
your
冷
four
冰冰的感
limbs
觉
should
吧
all have
但
the
是你的
feeling
脚
of
啊，
feeling
你的这
cold.
个另外一只
But
脚啊，
how
就是这些
we
都是
in
没有
fact
感觉。
feel is
按理来
that
讲，
if
如
one
果
hand
是
is
心呢，
touching
就是这个
another
是
part of
一
the
体的，
limb,
就是
you
心全
probably
部都
would
是只有
feel
一体的
that
话，那就
it's
是
cold
因
on
为
that
这个
certain
身体
part
的
and
这个
not
每一处
on
的
the
话
other
呢，
limbs,
应该有
isn't
这
it?
个感觉了啊，就是应该有
But
感觉。
according
原因是
to
什么
the
呢？因为
Buddha's
这个心呢，就是是一体
refutation,
的，
if
而
the
且这个
mind is
一体的话
one,
呢，就是
then
在
you'll
身
be
体
able
的各
to
个角落当中
perceive all
都
of
可以
the
有这个
feelings
感受和缘故。
all
如
together
果你说
because
先
there's only
先
one
觉得
mind.
这个
Then
是
you
有的，
can't
我的这个全身呢，
differentiate
就是会有
how
这个
the
感
mind
觉。那
is
这样的话呢，就是知你
is
不
over
在
here
那
at
你
the
不
hand
接触
or
的
the
话呢，就
different
是不
limbs.
存在。本来是你就只接触我的这个手嘛，就是其他地方都
If
没
you
有
were
接
to
触。
only
但
touch
是你的这个
your
全身都有
hand,
这种感觉，那当然这个是不可能的。就是
if
谁
you were to
我接
only
触我的
touch
这
one
个
part of the
手，或
limb
者是别人的手的时
or
候，
other
这是
people's
在某
limb,
的地方就是有接触
then
有
at
感
the
觉，但其
place
他地方
of
是不可能有
touching,
的。如果有的
you
话
will
呢，那你
feel
这个
you'll
某
have
的这
certain
个地方
feelings,
就
but
接触的
not
地方
any
呢，就是
other
不存在
places.
有这个过失啊，有这个过失。
So
如果只
it is definitely
这
wrong
个所
to
有，
say
如果
that there's
你
only
那
one
个
whole
就是接触这个
substance
所
of
有是吧？
mind
就是
that is
有具体的
pervasive
这样
all
的
over
话
the
呢
body.
则入这个一体啊，就是则不成立。如果你这个整个全身的是已经有这个
If
接触
your
的
whole
这种
body
感
have
觉的
these
话呢，那你刚
feelings.
才说是你的这个心呢，就是一体啊，就是不成立的，就是则不成立的。
Because
但
the
是这
body
个是
doesn't have
一般来
this
讲
one
就是
feeling,
不可能啊，不
therefore
可
your
能的，因为身体
your
里接触在哪里
proposal
的
is
话
wrong.
呢，就是都接触
Because
或者
wherever
是
you
我们
would
这个
touch,
接触
you
在不
would
同地方
feel
的话呢，
the
就是都有
feelings
感
at
觉
that
的应该相
particular
当有
place.
的。然后这是第一个方面，就是
So
如果
that's
是
the first
心这
aspect
个
of
是一
the
体的话呢，就是
refutation
不
posed
合
by
理
the
啊，
Buddha.
就是心如果是一体的话，那就不合理，就是这个观点。然后下面是第二个，就是如果多体者，就是那
Now
个
the
我们
second,
的这个心呢，就是有很多很多的这种体系呢，有很多的
if
体系。那
this
这样的话
mind
呢，你如
has
果一个
many
人有
folds,
心就是很多的多体的话呢，则成多人，就是那
it is
这样
not
的话呢，
possible
你一个
either,
人呢就
because
变成了
if
很多人。为
in
什么
such a
呢？因
way,
为
then
每
you're
一个
just
这
saying
种
that
心
you
呢，
have
就是
many
其实
minds.
这个一个人
If
也
you
可
were
以
to have
每
many
个众生
minds,
呢就
then
不
you're
同
no
相
longer
续。
one
那这
person,
样的
you
话
are
呢，
of
你
many
就
people
这
in
个
one
接
of
住你的
you
这个
in
身
you,
体的什么
then
这个
that's
教
also
的
not
受的
possible.
苦的，就这样的话呢，每一个都
If
是
you
一
were
个
to say
独
that
立
your
的
mind
这个不
is
同的一个心态的话
manifold,
呢
you have
那
a
就
mind
你就一个人呢，就是
on
变
your
成了
mind,
就是
on
很
your
多
limbs,
什么
and
这
on
个
your
就
body,
这
and
个
so
人
on.
那个
And
人
in
就是
such
什
a
么
way,
家里的亲戚
you're
就是
really
等
saying
等
that
有
in
一个人都变成
one
了
of your
很多人
body,
就是有这个
then it is
那么这
split
样的
into
话呢
many
就是
minds, and
这个
therefore
云体
many
为
people.
鹤荣那
And
有
that
这么
is
多
not
体的话呢
possible
就是
either.
那 到底是你自己是哪一体？比如说甲乙丙丁，
You cannot
就是有
point
几个的话呢
to
那你
which
不
part
认
of
为你自己是
you
哪一
is
体
you.
啊对你
You
自己是
cannot
哪一体
point
这
to
样文的话呢那
whether
也是不合理
person
的
A
就是
or
第二
mind
个
A,
方
B,
面
C,
的
D,
信
E
服
is
多
you.
体
Can
的
you
话那
point
就
to
不合理
exactly which part
然
is
后第
you
三
then?
个的话呢
That
就是
is also
信
not
如果这个
possible.
遍于所有的
The
这个身
third
体的
one
话
is
那也
started
不合理
saying that if
那有
the
什么
mind
过失
is
呢
all
心
pervasive all
啊
over
就
the
是说
body
遍
is
体
not
整个
possible
心如果
either.
是遍于这个所有的这个身体
Because
的
if
话
the
那
mind
就是通
is
前所指
all
就是前面
pervasive
呢
over the
我们不是
body,
这样的嘛就是
then
如果是心就是遍于这个所有的话那就是就前面讲
it
的一
is
样就是
the same
那所有的
as
这个
the
四肢呢
previous
就是都有
argument, then
都有
all
感觉
your
啊
limbs
就是
should
有
be
这个
having the
过失
same
所以
feeling at the
当然
same
这个也
moment
是
when
不
you
可能的
touch
就是我们
just
这个
one part.
心呢就是遍于就是所有的这个身体的部位的话呢也是不可能的不过在这
So
个地
that's
方呢
not possible.
可能大家也应该，我们下面我在下面再讲吧。我们先把这个讲完了以后，这个深处
I
的这个
will-
感觉可能讲一下好一点。
I will
然
then
后如果
further
不偏执，如果
elaborate
你说是
of
这个
the
我的这个心呢，就是
feelings
这个
later
是
after
一
this
个
part.
但
The
是
next
它呢
one
就是在身体的某一个部
started
位呢
saying
就是
that
是
in
存在
fact
的
the
并不是
mind
遍于所有的
is
这个本体
only at
那
one
么这样
part.
的话呢，就是下面就观察
It
这个
is
当
not
这个
all
你的这
pervasive,
个
but it
头啊
is
就是或者
only
是
at
你
a
的
certain
脚呢
part.
就在同一个时间当中
But
接触啊，就是
This is
就
also
我
not
可以
possible
摸你的
because
背
if
我可以
I
摸你的脚
were
在同
to
一个时
touch
间
your
那么这个时候呢
the top
就
of your
是
head and
应
your
该
foot
是
at the
就是
same
头呢
time,
就是你的这个头部呢就是有感觉，而
then
脚呢就是不应该有感觉。
do
为
you
什么呢
only
因为你
feel
的
the
心呢
touching at the
只有
head?
边缘边缘
Do you
部分
only
嘛
feel my
边缘
touching
部
at
分
your
的话
head
呢
or
要么你的
both
这
at
个
your
心
head
呢
and
就
your
在
foot
这
then?
个脚上，要么你的
Because
心
your
在
mind
头
could
上
only
那
be
同
at
一个时
one
间当中
place
如
if
果
there
这
was
个
a
同一个时间当中
solid
如果
substance of
摸你
mind,
的
because
你
it
借助
could
你的
only
脚
be
你
at
借助
one
你的
place
头
at a
还要
time.
借助你的腰啊胃啊或者是
If
这
you
个
were
这个全
touched
身有不
by
同的我们这个
different kind
做
of
什么这个有时
places
候
or
心电
at
图啊是什
different
么这个
kinds of
脚啊手啊
places,
就是
just as
这
when
就
you're
是
doing
什么
examinations,
什么
medical
都这个
examinations,
就
where
贴上就是那
you would
那这
have
样的时候
different
呢你
tapes
都只有
on
一个
your
感觉
fingers,
不应
on
该
your
有感觉
limbs,
因为
on
你的
your
头
head,
就是
and
承认
on
了
your
心
knees
是
and
这
so
个
on.
只有一体
And
的
then at
是
that
吧
time,
就是
your
而且这
mind
心
should
是就
only
便于
feel
部分
one
的如
place
果这样
that
的话
is
呢
then
就不应该
intact
有
with
所有
your
的这个地
body,
方
and you won't
其
be
实在
able to
这里
feel
呢
the different
可
sense
能
of
按照我们
touches
这
at
个
different
这
places,
个
isn't
神
it?
经系统啊是就这个有一些学科里面的神经系统的有些知识的话呢
The
就是他们也
neuroscience,
确实
in
是
fact,
有很多
they
的这个神经元就是然而
talk
这
about
些这
how
个
there are
元素所
neurons
接受的
and
就各种
there
不同的这个
there's
信号的话
a
呢
different
就是
kind
那
of
么用这个
neurons
心
would
智来这个
produce
分辨但是
information
这个说
and
法跟我们
would
这个
produce
中医这个或者说是佛教的这个说法呢有所不同的
would
有所不同的
produce
是什么
different
其
signals
实这
and
里
then
就应该是有个
then
很深的道
transmute
理
such
我们
signals. I
这
think
个
their
释
way
量
of
释量的
looking
注释当
at
中也
mind
讲
is
过嘛
different
一个人
than
呢就是有这个
than
亚尔比
Buddhism.
斯森氏就是六世的话呢就是同时就是
The
不分裂的
commentary
这个
of
事呢
Pramana,
同时都
it
可以
talks
产生
about,
但
in
是
fact,
分别
the
性的话呢就是只能产生一个
the
就分别
faculty
产生只能
of
产生一个
the
如果有
faculties
两个
could
分别性产生的话
have
那就是变成了
the
两个众生的
the
相
consciousness
这个
of
是在
different
释量
six
论当中呢就是
faculties.
注重
They
的
could
做
then
表的
produce such
那
kind,
这样
or
的
they
话呢
could
我的
feel
这个身体
at
比如
the
说
same
头也
time.
好脚也好
However,
很多方
your
面当你这个接触
deluded
的时候呢
mind, that
接
is
触的话那
thought,
么
could
这个
only
身体呢就
happen,
是有能力
could
就是
only
接受
produce
这个
one thought
各
at
种
a
不同
time.
的这种信息
So
但是真的要去辨别的
information
时候
could
呢
happen
只有
at
这
the
个
same time.
移出就是可以
Information
辨
could
别
be
比如说我这个
could
头
be
啊
received
脚啊
at the
全
same
部
time.
都
You
比较
could
多
then feel
但是你要
different
分
kind
的
of
时候呢
feelings
要么有一个
at the same
中间的
time.
一个
For
分别
example,
让我全
if you
身
were
很
to have a
痛
headache at the
这样
same
的一
time
个感
at
觉就是这是综合
you
性
are
的
having foot ache,
或者的话我
then
头痛就是
the
那么
such
你
kind
头
of
痛的时候
information could be received. However, your mind could only feel or could only produce the thought of I am in pain, I am having headache at this one instant, and then the next instant you could shift your thought to oh, I'm having footache as well. So it happens rather one thought at a time, rather than receiving all the information all at the same time. In Mipa Rinpoche's teaching, it is stated that in fact it doesn't matter how many objects there are on the outside, the perceiving capacities would also be there to receive all the information from the external
这
objects.
些触觉的话呢，它是一种类别的。
So
眼睛就是
all
所看到
the
的这个
senses
所有
that
的这
we
些色法
have
的话呢，就是也是一种类别的。那么这样的时候呢，我们自己就
could
可以感觉
perceive
到
all
比如说
the
我眼睛
senses
看到的
from
这
the
个
outside.
很
For
好看的
example,
时候
we
真的
can
这种
look
看的
at
时候呢
something
那我
really
的
beautiful.
这个身体的这种触觉呢，也同样的就是产生
At the
一个
same time,
分别
we
念的
can
去是不可能的啊，就
At
一方
the
面
same
就是
time, we
眼
can
睛就是看
feel
的是
our
非常好看
senses from
然
our
后呢
body.
就是身体也
However,
就
we
如果说
cannot
的话它
generate
的
two
能分辨的
kinds
这种
of
这个
thoughts at the same
什
time,
么就是
where
先
maybe
两识
you're
当中呢，
grasping
就是都有
towards
这个
the
接触啊，
external
就这个
object
呢，
with your
我觉得
eye
佛教的这种
consciousness,
说法
but
呢，就
not
应该是非常
but you
这个
cannot grasp that
适
at
合
the same
适
time
合我
with
们的
your
这种陋习啊，
touches
就非常适合，不然的话，
or
就有
your
些时候的
hearing
话呢，
senses
就
and
是
other
这个
senses.
所谓的这种这个
So
神经系
Buddhism,
统
in
的
fact,
这
is
种这个分析
very
方法的话
logical.
呢，也许可能他们有他们的这个解释方法，但是真正要降到这个分别念的时候呢，我们的分别念是只有
When
这个
the
一个的啊，就是
neuroscience talks
当你
about
一
the
个这个分别
perceiving
念
of
产生
the
的时候
receiving
呢，
of the
那其他的
information,
这
I
个
think
分
they
别
have
念呢，
their
就是
areas
无
of
有实处啊，
studies.
就是当你产
However,
生
when
嗔恨
it
心的
comes
时候
to
呢，
the
那嗔恨心
consciousness
的
and
根
how
源
our
就是
thoughts would
有
grasp
产
and
生
how
就
the
是有
consciousness
没有
work
这个
with the
嫉妒
senses,
心啊，
then
或者说是
I think it
这个
is
善
only
心啊，
Buddhism
这
could
些都是
explain
没有
that.
的，就是所以在这个时候呢，我们不是说是一个相续嘛，就是一个相续当中，
We cannot
那么
produce
就是这
jealousy
种
at the
心
same
识呢，
time
就是
with
跟
the
外在的
kindness.
相位是不相同的，对吧？就是这些方
And
面可能
in
学的
fact,
这
the
个英语
mind
的话，可能比较
has
比较好用一点。
rather,
看我们今天很多道友都是
I think, in
就
terms
是
of
开始报名这个英明法和这
in
个具
terms
手论
of
我的想法都是
how
中观
mind
就是多学
works
一
and
点的
how
话
thoughts are
可
produced,
能中观
I think it
最
is
空性的就是
the
真
best
正
to
这个
study
产生
Buddhist
这个
logic.
这种
I
这
saw
个
lots
境界
of
是还
our
是很重要
practitioners
的。虽然
wanted
这
to
个具手论和
study
这个
Buddhism
什么
logic
就
as
是
well as
英明的话呢，就是分
Abhidharma.
辨点比较
And
重一点的人来
the
讲
way
很重要的。但是呢，
I take it is that
有时候
it's
没有
the
学到
most
中观的
important
话
to
有
study
时候最根
Madhyamika.
本的问题
Of
很难解
course,
决的。
it is important to study the knowledge of Abhidharma and the Buddhism logic.
具手论呐，就是具手论是好几个班，就是然后中观的话
I
没有那么
notice
多也可以，反正我
a
们
majority
确
of
实
you
是
applied to
武当
study
人当中
Abhidharma.
都还是比
This
较
is fine,
比较重
and
要
in
的，
fact,
都可以这样
Madhyamika,
的。
in my
但是
opinion, would
我
be
们要
more
分析的
important to
时候呢，就
study.
应该
I think all the
要把
five
好这个基
treatises
础的话，
are
就是最后自己
very
应该明白
important,
啊，
and
就
we
是
should
就是
all have
所谓
firm
的
ground
这种
and
信也好
foundations
心
to
所也
study.
好，尤其是具手
We
论
should be
当
able
中
to
讲的这个
understand the
心和心
mind
所呢，因为里面
and
就是讲的这个心和心所呢，基本上都相通的啊。就是关于这方面的话呢，那这样
and
比达摩和中观的话呢，就是也没有特别大的这个
and all of these kind of
不同的观
teachings
点，
on
对吧？
mind are
这
taught
方面呢，就是也可
within
以这
Buddhist
个
logic and
这个
Abhidharma,
了
and
解
the
所以
teachings
刚才
on
讲是
them
如果你
are
同一个时间
rather
当中
quite
接触
similar.
和接触这个身体啊，就是那么这样的话
So
呢，
anyhow, it
不
is
可
says
能有
that
有
if
这
you were
个
to touch
只有接触一个啊，就是不可能，就是所以呢，就是
one
有
part
机
of
不然
your
这是
body,
我们
then
先
you
两
won't
者
be able
这
to
个
hear the other
那
parts
么
of
基
the
因
body,
不然
which
这个是根本
is
不可能
not
的事
true.
情。就是如果有不同的地方呢，就是当然有不同的这个知觉，但这
If
种
you
不
were
同
to
的
touch
知觉呢，
different
就是同
places,
一个
then
时
you
间
would
当
have
中
different
让产生的
feelings
话
at
呢，分
different
别念是不
places.
可能的，就是分别念应该
You
应该
will
是不
feel
可能的。
different sense
这
perceptions
样的，然后
that
当然这种
you
分
would
别
feel
念
the
的话呢，
different
这是一
senses
个
of
根据
touching
这个
from
本性
different
的这种
places,
分别
but
念是就是
at
可以
that
可
one
以这个
single
产生，
time,
对吧？
you
就是这样。
cannot have two different kinds of thoughts.
可以这样说吧。所以说呢，就是那么这个刚才前面讲的这个，
So as
就随着
previously
这
how
个
we
因缘合
stated,
合而产生，就是心随着因缘合合而产生是无有是处啊，就是
Mind
不可能有这样的这个情况。
is not
这是讲到的
the
什么
production
第
of cause and
六个这
conditions.
个第
So
五
that's
第五个初心
the
啊
fifth one.
那我这里有个那个乾
The
隆
text
皇
that
帝
I
的
have over here
楞严
is
经的
the
有一纸本啊，就是那个
Emperor's edition,
这里写的是
the Tianlong Emperor's edition of the Shurangama Sutra. And at the beginning of
是
it,
李治啊和乾隆皇帝，他是那个永和宫啊，就是
this version actually is printed in the Yonghua Palace in Beijing,
然
and it
后
looks like that.
这里呢，
At the beginning of it,
乾隆皇帝的序跟藏语呢有点
it has the prologue that is composed
有点不是
by
很相同。
Emperor Qianlong, and I think some of the
相同是相同，但是
the
汉语
content of
有
the
点难懂
prologue
就是前两天也是稍微
are the same
说了
both
但是
in Chinese and Tibetan
看到那
language,
个
but the
藏语的
Chinese
它的
version
这
is
个
very
序呢
difficult to
也许是
understand.
它用藏语
But
写
the
的，也许是它
Tibetan
用满文写了
version
一个
of this
这个藏
prologue
语
is rather
这个
much
我想
easier to understand.
稍微
So
跟
over
大
here,
家
I would
总
like
结
to
一下在这个
just
中间
briefly
它这里
share
说
this
这个
prologue
羌
with
这
you.
个大臣
So
南
over
延景
here,
的序
it
呢
says that
说
it expressed that Emperor
三藏
Qianlong
啊，就十二部的话，那就是他乾隆是这样写的，他说，主要是弘扬到那个藏地，就是藏地的话呢，就是
Emperor Qianlong
中间
stated
站
that
属于
the
在南
majority
里的话呢，
of
就是
the
佛法是非
Tripitakas
常这个兴盛
are already in the
然后
Tibetan language,
现在
as
的话呢
Tibet is
说
the
是在藏地呢，就是凡是在汉地
is
的所
the
有的这些翻译过的这些经文
center
呢，就是都有
of
的。但是唯
between
独的
India and China for
楞严经呢，就是在
the
藏地没有。这个
for
原
the
因是
Dharma
什么呢？
teachings, for
原因
Dharma's
是这个有一段时间呢，就是朗达玛就是灭佛的时候呢，所有的这个经和虚部
for the Dharma and
书呢，都是有
Shurangama
些
Sutra.
字
However, Shurangama Sutra
后
is
来
not
就
one
少
of
了
them.
有
Shurangama
些是
Sutra
埋
is
在
not
这个部里面
included
就这样的话，
in
就是这
the
个
Tibetan
这
language.
部楞严经
Why
呢
is that?
就是
It
继
is
承了这个
because
残缺的了，就是不完
it
整
is
的。
in fact
后来
because
的
of
很多大本呢，就是
Langdama
想把它这个
destroyed
做成
Buddhism
比较
at the
完整
time.
就是把
He
它弄圆满
used the
但是呢，因
method
为没有
of
一个
burning
这个好的
and
这个范本，
burn
所以
and
就
burying
也没办法
the
这个
sutra
增加
texts.
那么
Therefore,
之后呢，
the
就是
text
这个
is
不动
lost
大
in
寺
the Tibetan
就是
language.
说是这个500年之后呢，说这
And
个汉地呢
Master
就是会把
Bhutan,
这个
who
楞严经
then
呢，就翻成
made
这
the
个藏语
prediction
啊，
saying
就是
that
这样的
after
一个
500
话呢，
years,
就是当时
the
那个张家口
version,
就是
the
张家口
Tibetan version will
就是
be
他呢就是
translated
在他的
from Chinese language
读诵的
into
那
the
个书里
Tibetan
面是有
language.
这个我看
And
韩文里
this
面所
was
读诵的范本里
read
面就是
by
梵文本都是翻典是吧？但是可能
Rigpe Dorje, who was
不知道张家口
the
是就读不读梵典，而且就梵文本
country's
当中可能不一
master
样但意思是
Zhangja
藏
at
文里
that
面
time.
他读诵的那个论点的，他读诵的这个典籍里面
Not
呢
sure
有
if
这
it
样
was
的这个
in
授记
Sanskrit,
有
but
这样的
the book that
设计
was
的话呢，
read
就是那
by
么
Rigpe
就是作为
Dorje,
他这个乾隆皇帝的话
it
呢，平时
described
呢
that
就有
this
这个
version
千
would
千
be then
万万
translated
的
back
很多的
into
这个
Tibetan
实践的
language.
什么，就包括他的这个国政的这些事呢，就是一直忙碌。那有
And
时间的
then
时候呢，
Emperor
就是他
Qianlong
会把
stated that, in fact, he got really busy with lots
翻成
of
这个满
the
语啊，就是包括
country
这个
affairs,
遗迹啦
the state
还有一些
affairs.
嗜血啊
However,
还有一
whenever
些
he
私
gets
塾
any
记啦
of
这
it,
些
the
都
spare
翻成
time
这
for
个满文
himself,
然
for
后呢
himself, he would
就
then
是他
translate
他有
lots
一个
of
还
the
像
Chinese
还有一
classics
个什么呢
that is
就是
written
他的
in
那
Chinese
个
language
就是当时
into
康熙皇帝呢就是
into
原来把这个心
Manchurian.
经呢就是翻成这个4种语言。
Also,
后来
upon
就是他的这
contemplating
个父王
that
就是应该雍正皇
his
帝吧，就是他呢把他
grandfather,
就
who
刻成
was
这个
also
字
the
然后
who was
就那种
also
音画
not
来
emperor,
这个进行弘扬的。
translated
然
the
后
Heart
这次的话
Sutra
呢，就是
into
他
4
觉得
different
是这个大
languages,
乘楞严经
or
呢
kept the
也
Heart
是应
Sutra
该是
into
有
4
这样
different
的
languages.
这个
And
传
then
统
at
来
that
这个
time,
这样的话呢，就是应该是比较合理
his
吧。
father
所以他
also
是
did
经
the
过那
same.
个张家
So,
国寺的这个
because of
同意啊
their
然后呢，就是就像以前那个
because of
他们的
their
这个两个
good
国王把
example,
心
he
经
also
就是弘扬
wanted
翻成
to
各种不同的文
translate
字来弘扬一
the
样
Shurangama
就是
Sutra
他呢
into 4 different
就是把
languages,
这个
just
大
as
乘楞
how
严
his
经呢
grandfather,
就是因为
just
藏
as
地没有
what
这
his
个像
grandfather
心经的
did
话呢藏地有
for
但是
the
这
Heart
个楞严经
Sutra.
呢就是在藏地没有。所以呢，
But
就是他像
Heart
先就
Sutra
是
was
翻
already
成这个
translated into
满
Tibetan
文
language at that
然后呢
time,
就是翻成满文
but
然后再翻成
Shurangama
那个
Sutra
藏语
was not.
那么这样的话，一方
Therefore,
面呢也
he
是
decided
就
to
比较
translate the
适
Shurangama
合这
Sutra
个
from
当
Chinese
时那个
language
不断大
into
大寺的这个
Manchurian
设计
and from
另一方
Manchurian
面的话
language
呢，就是
into
它也是绝对
Mongolian
就是
language and
非常
from
有意义
Mongolian
因
language
此呢
into
它就不
Tibetan
屑的
language.
这个路里就是
And
让这个有一个叫庄亲王
in such a way,
就是什么
he would
让
fulfill the
庄亲王呢
prediction that
就
is
是
made
知道
by
这件
Master
事情
Buchan at
然后
that
就引
time.
领他还有呢就是张家古斯和
So
还
he
有一
asked
个叫做
his
富奈这
relative,
个
who's
可能也是当时一个曼族人
he asked his relative as well as Repe Dorje and a minister at that time, whose name is Furey, to study, to study and to translate the Shrangama Sutra. And at the end of each volume or each chapter of the Shrangama Sutra, they have to send the text to the Emperor Qianlong, so that Qianlong would then read over their translation. Whatever question he would come up with at that time, he would then consult with Repe Dorje at that time. So the translation was finished within 11 years, all the way from 1952 to 1963, 1752 to 1763. And at that time, his relative asked Emperor Qianlong to write a prologue. And upon writing a prologue, Emperor Qianlong started to think that, in fact, the Shrangama Sutra is a profound teaching that is given by Shakyamuni Buddha. And because of such profundity, if the translation is very difficult to understand, then in such a way, it would be rather difficult for people to uptake and to understand. There are monks who fight over for small wordings, for different ways of descriptions, for things that's rather unnecessary. Therefore, based on Emperor Qianlong's understanding, he felt that it is quite necessary to make sure that people could understand the Shrangama Sutra easily. This is the principle that he required the translators. So he said that it is just like that you should gift food to the hungry and gift drinks to the thirsty, and in such a way the translation should be just like that, rather than making it really fancy and not fulfilling. Therefore, he asked the translators to translate without flowery wording and directly pointing to the meaning of the text. In such a way, the teaching would be useful and would be beneficial to the later generation. And he felt that this should be the way how the royal family should continue to propagate the sutras. And this prologue was composed back in 1763, October 18th. This was just my oral translation, and it was not really composed. I really hope that whenever you are doing your post-class discussion group, you should really read this, and you should think about how the previous royal families, the kings and the ministers, invested lots of time and energy into the teachings and the sutras of the Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha. So now let's move to the sixth one, the sixth attempt of looking for the mind. Let's finish it today. Over here, then Ananda said to the Buddha, he continued to pose the question to the Buddha. He said that a world-honored one also have heard the Buddha discuss the true appearance with Manjushri and other great disciples, other great bodhisattvas. And during the discussion of the ultimate truth, I've heard that you, world-honored one, has also said the mind is not inside and it's not outside. And
里面就是无所见。
Now,
因为
as
这个
I consider
内有
it,
所见的话呢，内脏也
if
让它
it
见
were
到。
within,
然
it
而
would
歪呢，
see
就是不
things
相
it
知
does not
歪
see.
歪呢，
If it
就是
were
不可能
outside,
相知。如果相知的话，好像两个
if it
耳
were
朵一样，
inside, then it
不
would
是。
see things
那
it
么
does not
它
see,
这
such
两
as
句的
the
话呢，
bowels
其实
and
在文当中是没有
stomach and
没有
all the
就是
organs
单独
within.
解释
If
这
it
个
were
下面
outside,
这个
then
讲
that would be
就是
no
讲的。
common.
还
There would
有
be no
看
common
那个
perception.
有什么这个长髓啊，就是还有其他的有包括这个
Different
教光他们
commentaries
的话
by
呢，
Master
解
Changshu,
释的
Master
时候，它
Jiaguang
这
in
里
their
内无所
explanation,
见，外
where it
有
talks
想
about
知，
there
不
is
是不想知，就是有想知，就是
nothing.
也有这样的。但实际上，这个我觉得是差别不是
It
很大
could see things it does
差别
not
不是
see,
很大的，
and
都有可以解释的。
on the outside there will be no
然后
common
按照他的意思解
perceptions.
释
I
的话
think
呢，
their
这个内无
translations
所
are
见，
rather
外
little,
这个
a little bit
不相知
different in
原因
Chinese,
是
but
什
the
么呢？
meaning is
因
not
为
much of
内
a
呢，就
difference.
是无知的缘故，
Since it
因为
cannot
它
see
内脏是这个心
inside,
不可能知道嘛，就是不可能知道。
you
所
cannot
以呢，就是在内是不成
see
立，就是
the
就
organs,
是他
isn't
就
it?
继续就是
It
把后头
cannot
的
be
这个秘密呢
inside.
在这里做了一个解释，就是说是
Over here,
内无
Ananda
知的缘
started
故
to
呢，就是内肯
explain
定不成
the
立，心
teaching
不在内
of
不
the
对。
Buddha, saying
然后
that
这个
because
身
we
心
cannot
呢，
see
就
what's
是
inside,
相知，
then it
身
cannot
心
be
互相都
inside.
知道的，不是每个
And
两个
since
彼
the
此互相都
body
一定
and the
不知道，
mind
不
have
是这样
common
的。
perception,
身心呢，互相都
rather
知道的
than
缘故呢，就是在外非
rather
有，
than
在
saying
外面
that
呢，就是
it
心
is
不可
two
能存在。
minds,
所以
two big
心在
truths
外面
that
也不
does
存
not
在，
know
内也不存在。
each other,
那在
does
哪里
not
呢？就是
then
心
have
相
the
知
common
乎，就
perception
是
of
心
each
是
other.
互相
So
这个
it
身
does
心呢，就是知
not
道的
make
缘
sense
故
to
呢，
say that it
就
is
是根本
outside.
不解释，应该
Therefore,
是在
since
稍微在
there
外
is a
面
common
的。
perception,
它
and
那
since
我
there
们
is
前面一个问题的
no
话呢，
seeing
就是它就
within,
主要
it
破
must
这
be
个
in the
内
middle.
见，就是。然后它这里呢，就是
Previously, the
虽
Buddha
然
already
外不在，
refuted
但是呢，
the
就是稍微
point,
可
the
能内见是不可能
proposal
存在
of
所以
Ananda
在
saying
外
that
就是
the
它就
mind
在
is
在外
within.
的中间，就是它可能
And
趋
then
向于这个外，
also
就是所以
already
它相因
refuted
为这个
Ananda's
相知的
idea
缘故的话
saying
呢，
that
就
the
是
mind
内
is
是不见
outside.
的。但是呢，
So
就是
at
在外
that
面的
time,
就是
then
某个中间有
Ananda
一个
started
存
to
在
say
的，
that
所以它
this
这里
must be in the
中间的
middle.
话呢，就
And
是不
then
同的
in the
中间。
middle
前
part,
面
it
我们
I
严
think
根的话呢，
in the
就是
middle
意思
part,
是在
Ananda
严
also
根的中间就是这样的。
leaning
那
towards
这里的话
that
呢，就是在
middle
外面的
closer
一个
to
中
the
间，
outside
就是
part.
内
So
有
let's
在外
now
有
look
在，
at
但
this.
是
It
还
is
是在
not
外面
inside,
的一
it
个中
is
间，
not
是这样的。
outside, but it is
然后这个时
somewhere
候呢，就是就
on
下
the
面就开始
outside,
这
but
个
also in the
破
middle.
他的
That's
观点
his
就是
point
破
of
他
view.
的观点。
And now the Buddha
我看那
started to
个欧伊
refute
达斯
him.
的话呢，
According
他
to
不是
Master
前面说是
Oi's
心不在内，不
commentary,
在
he
外
said
嘛。
that
那么这样的
the
话呢，
mind
就是对
is
方呢
not
就认
outside,
为
not
是心
inside.
呢，就是应该是有一种这个体相
And
啊，
then
就是他就根
Ananda
本没有
must
动
have
到死，就
this
是一种这个妄
perception
想，
that
就是
the
在内和
mind
在外都是一种
has
妄想。
a
但是阿难
true
呢，就是他
substance
就
that
一直认为
resides
是
somewhere
心
in the
一定是有
middle,
一种
somewhere
体
in
相，所以
within.
说呢，就是他一直是就
He
是在这里不放，
grasped
就是
onto that
我
the
们也是
mind
这样的，
has
心
a
如果
true
真的有一种特相的话呢，那么
substance, has a true
那么在内，
characteristic.
那么在外就是一定要把它照出一
Just
个
as
地
I
方
think how
但是
majority
这
of
个
people,
很难的，心
they
本身
also
也是
hold on
它
to
在
that
世俗
there
当
is
中
a
也是
true
有
existence of
在生
mind.
意当中
In
的
fact, the
这个
mind
程
in
序
the
不成立，所以这个问题
relative
还是很
truth,
重要。
it
然
is
后下面就是
dreamlike
就
and
教导就是
illusion-like,
破
but
这个
in
破这个
its
他的观点
ultimate
无言
reality,
就
it
是
is
所谓
not
的这个中
existent
间
at
就是
all.
无
It
言
is
中间
completely
呢
empty.
中这个
And
不
then
避免
over
啊，
here,
就
the
是
Buddha
非
replied to
无所在
Ananda, saying that
你
you
说的
say
这个
it
中
is
间
in
的
the
话呢，就
middle,
是不能这样迷迷糊糊、含含糊糊的啊，就是
then
那
you
必须要
cannot
就
be
说清楚
so
啊，
vague
就是
about it.
中
You
呢
have
就
to
是
make
必
it
须要
very
就
clear.
就说清楚，
If
不
you
能
were
这
to say
个
that
迷
it's
迷
in the
糊糊。
middle,
那
then
么
you have
非
to
无所
find
住，
a
就是这个
fixed
心的话呢，就
location
是
for it. You have to
一
find
定要
somewhere
啊
very
有一个所
specific
处，
for
就
it.
是因为它是中间嘛，就是这
Because
中间的话
if it's
可
in the
能就是
middle,
所处就是一
then you're pointing to a specific location, and you cannot say that there's nowhere to be found in the middle. When people talk about middle, we usually would think about it is sandwiched between inside and outside. It must be sandwiched between one and the other. So over here, the Buddha started to ask that, then where is the middle that you're proposing? Is it in an external place? Is it in the middle of a pillar? Is it in between two places? Is it in between Nepal and India? Is it in between Yunnan and Sichuan province?
或者的话呢，就是有身体中间啊，就是
Or
身体
is
的
it
这
in
个
the body?
根
Is
和
it
身体之间
somewhere
呢，就是
sandwiched
这样
between
有两个
the
首先是说这个
faculty
身体中
and
间就是身体中间的话
another
如果在肾脏
body
有
part?
肾脏如果是你说是在身体中间的话呢
If you were to
在
say
肺
that it
肺
is
如
in
果
the
身体中
middle
间
of the
的话呢
body,
那身体的这个皮肤的外面，皮
it
肤的表
could
面
not be
那
on the
这样的
surface
话
of
呢
the
就是
body
非重点
since
这不是
it
重
is
点
not
身
in the
体的
middle.
外面嘛就是
Because
你
if
这
you were
个
to say that
如果
it's
是在身体
somewhere
的
on the
边上
skin,
比如说是
somewhere
这
in
个
between the
在
skin
身
that's
体的什
on
么
the
系在
outside
这
of
个
the
身体的
body.
以外就是拖
If
着
you
的
were
吊
to
着的
say
或者说
that
是
the mind is
这样的
somewhere
话呢就是它在外面
attached
就是不
to
在
the
里面嘛对
body
吧
on the
就吊
outside,
边
then that is on
如
the
果在
outside
重
of the
点
body.
如果在身体
If
的
you were
内
to
面
say
比如
that
说在
this is
在肚子里
somewhere
面呢在皮
inside
肤里面呢
of
就是
the
在
body,
骨头
if you
骨
were
头
to
里
say
面
that
呢
is
或者是在
inside
在
of
什么
your
就是你的
flesh,
内脏上
inside
的
of
话
your
那就
bone,
我们前
inside
面
of
讲的
your
这个心如果在里
organ,
面的话
then
内脏
it it
里应该
goes
见到
back
就是
to
痛
the
内这
previous
个不是
logic that
这个
we've
第一个
already
是在身
discussed.
体中间是不成立的，你不是说刚才
So
说
it
中间
doesn't
嘛，中
work.
间是在身体中间
Then
在
is
其
it
他
in the
地方是
middle
中
of
间
your
如
body?
果
Is
是
it
不是
in
在
the
身
middle
体
of
中
somewhere
间就是在
else?
外面的，其实
If it
这方
were
面
somewhere
比较
out
学过医
outside,
名好一点，不然，我还比较好一点，就是
I
学过
think
医名。如果不懂
it
医
is
名
the
的话，
best
可能
for
有点
people who
就
have
从来没有学
studied
过这些
the
推理的
Buddhist
话，好像
logic
会
to
不
study
会有
this.
点那个。
Otherwise, you'll get completely
Right.
lost. For me, myself, this is easy.
我们学过医名的人
For
很
people
那
who
个
studied
很有
Buddhist
那种
logic, I think
信心，就是那
you
像我们
have
像
lots
这
of
个
faith
技
and
术
lots
振
of
兴的好多年轻人都特别有那
enthusiasm.
种
And I
激情
noticed
就
that
是就
lots of
这样
people
子
who
开始
study the
跳起
Buddhist
来了，对
logic
吧？
and the
就
way
我看那
when
个
they
那
were
年
doing
讲考的
their
时候，有些
after class
这个
presentation, they were
就是
very
有基础
happy.
还
They
是
were
这样的比较不错。
almost jumping up during
然后下
their
面就是这样，如
presentation.
果在这个出错的中间的话呢，那
Anyhow, if you were to say
如果
that
是坐标
it
的
is
还
in
是
the
没有坐
middle
标的
of
标识就是相
some
当于是一
place,
种参
then
照物啊，或
could
者
you
吊带
find
啊，
a
或者
reference?
是
Could
一
you
种
find
吊
a
架之类
reference
的
point?
那
Could
你
you
说
find a fixed
有没
location?
有中
Could
间
you
呢就是
find
有一种这个
a
参照物啊，
point,
就是有没有
a
因为
reference point?
如果说是
Is
这个
there
没
a
有调的
reference
话呢
point? Because if you
那
were
就
to
相
say
当于
that there
是
is
虚
no
而已啊
reference
没
point,
有什
then
么
you
就
were
是
to
虚空
say
一样的。
that
你
it
你
is
走中
just
间的话
like
呢，什么
the son of a barren
什
woman
么到
that
什么
doesn't
中间，就是
exist.
它没有这个
Or
互相
if
的
you
这
were
种
to
这
say
个两
that
个法，就是如果没有的话呢，那你
it
就
is
是等于
in the
就是一
middle
样，什么都没有
of
一样
the
的。
two
如果你说是
dharmas
这
that
个有
doesn't
一些参
exist,
照物
then you were to say that this
有
is
表的
so-called
有
fixed
有这样
locations
的这
just
种
like the
标
space.
签的这个物
And
质啊，如果这样的
if
话呢，
you
那
were
那
to
是
say
不一定的
that
如果这样的话呢，
it
不一定
is
是
at
在
the
中
place
间
of
就不一定
the
是在中间为什么呢？
of
就是
the
因为
marker
这个
of the reference
其实以
point,
这些参照物的
then
话呢，就是依靠这个人的分辨量和人的处所，
let's
人的这个方位
contemplate
就是都
on
不同来
the
这个安排
reference
的。
point
而对
because
方的话呢，就是
people
要
make
所
the
谓的这
reference
个
point
中间的话呢，就是一定要有
with
一个
their
固定性的。
references
那这样的
because
话呢，就是如果一人来这个
we have
为标的
to
话呢，那么就是标啊，就是如果在中间的话呢，就是那么
because
从
if
这
you
个
were
东
to
方
say
看的话
that
呢，就是它在
there,
这个
this
西
is the
边
middle
如果
and
从这
this
个
is your reference point,
南方看的话呢，就是
but
它就变成这个
you
北
are
边啊，就是这
but
样的。
when
所以
regarded
说
from the
我
east,
们
it will
如果
be
是
to the
真的有
west,
一
and
种
when
这个
regarded
标
from
就
the
中间的
south,
话呢，
it
比
will
如
be
说
the
我们
north.
就有一个参照物，就是放在那个
If we were to
就是
place
什么
a
这个
reference
西
point
方
at
然后我们觉得是
on
东
the
西之间
east,
但是西方人看
then
到
we
的话
would
呢
say
那么
that
就是这个
this
是
is between
靠
the
近
east
就是
and
东边
west.
这边。
But
然
for
后从南方
Westerners,
人
they
看
would
的话
feel
呢，就
that
是在
it's
北
rather
边。
on the
所以我们
east.
现在的
But
很多
for
这个地
people
理位
from
置
the
的话呢，
south,
也
they
是
would
我
feel
们
that
这里
it's
说西
actually
方
on
人
the
然后
north.
到美国那里
Over
就是东
here,
方
when we
人
talk
那我
about
们有时候说这个东方
the
人和西方人
Americans
的话
as
他们就
Westerners,
觉
they
得
would
是
say that
这个
I'm not a Westerner. In fact, you're on the west side of me. Especially when we look at the globe as a sphere, we cannot say that this is definitively on the west of you or on the east of you. The reference point also moves. There is no fixed point for a reference point. If we were to have a settled, if we were to have a fixed point, a fixed reference point, then we cannot make any of the references anymore. So everything is really changeable because we're using reference points because we're using individual reference points, and that is not fixed. And if you were to say that the west and east, or if you were to set any kind of reference point point to make a mark for yourself, then it could make everyone else really confused, because everyone's reference points are very different. There's no definitive reference point. So that's the first refutation. And the second refutation is that, then Ananda started to explain for himself. He said that the middle I speak of is neither of those. As the world-honored one has said, the eyes and forms are of the conditions which create eye consciousness. The eyes makes discriminations. Form has no perception, but a consciousness is created between them, and this is where my mind is. This statement is rather from the Buddhist logic and Abhidharma. So when eyes and forms are the conditions which create the eye consciousness, in fact, eye faculty doesn't have any it doesn't have any discriminations. Eye consciousness doesn't have any discriminations. It is only that the conceptual mind that makes the discriminations. But over here, it says that the eye doesn't have a discrimination. The forms on the outside, it doesn't have any discriminations. This kind of teachings, this kind of ideas are then detailedly refuted in the wisdom chapter of Bodhisattva Charyavatara, as well as the commentary on the Pramana. In fact, Ananda says he is the foremost in listening to the Dharma and extensive in learning, but he grasped onto certain things, and he used his conceptual mind to he used lots of his conceptual mind and not really truly understand the meanings. Just as he quoted from the Buddha, and later he would quote Purna, and he quoted the teaching of the Buddha to the Bodhisattvas, and he read a lot and he heard a lot, but the details of the teachings are not grasped, but the essence of the teaching is not really understood by Ananda, just like the scholars nowadays. I really hope that the scholars are not like Ananda. See, he thinks that between the form and eyes, and there is, in the middle of that, there's a consciousness. In fact, he doesn't really understand what he's saying, and the Buddha started to refute him. In this part, I really hope you could focus, otherwise it's quite difficult to understand. It says that, in fact, between the eye and object, there is, if you were to think that your mind is in the middle of the eye and an object, it's between the eye and an object. Then, does the mind substance combine with the two or doesn't? Since your mind is in the middle, then does your mind mix or combine or cling to the eye or the object? In the Tibetan translation, it says that does the mind then make a connection to the eye, or does the mind makes the connection to the object that the eye perceives? If the mind did combine with both of them, then object and mind substance would form a chaotic mixture. Since object has no perception, while the substance has perception, the two would stand in opposition. Which is the middle? Could you find where the middle is?
对境呢都杂乱，就是为什么呢？因为这个心识
Why
呢
is
就是
that?
既跟这个外面的
Because
尘有关系，又
The
跟这个
mind
里面的
has
根
a
有关系。
connection or has a
那这样的话
relationship
呢，一
with
个
the
心识
eye
呢
and has a
也带
relationship
有一个
with
无
object.
的这个
And then
尘的这个部分，也带有
the
什么
mind
呢？
must
这个
have
气的这个部分。
both
这样的话呢，
the element
心
of
识和
object
根
and
还有
elements
呢，就
of
是
the
这三者的话
the
呢，
eye.
完全的就成了这个对
And
立
then all
但是
three
这样
are
对立的
mixed,
话呢
but
怎
these
么会
two
是成立就是互相
would
有
stand
关
in
系的？
opposition.
根本不可能的。
How
所以
could then
这个地方呢
have
大家也
any
要
kind
好
of
好地这个
relationship?
思考一下，思考什么呢？我们大
You
多数
should
的人
think
类呢，
upon
就是对
this,
境是这个
because
境存
majority
在
of the
的尘，
time
然
we
后
would
眼睛
consider
呢就
that
是
the
让这个
object
眼
truly
根就是
exists,
存在的。
and
然后呢，
our
就还有一个
eyes
心识就是
are
根和尘
existent.
之间就是有
And
一个心
between
识。
our
其实
eyes
这个学过居士们
and
和学过
the
英文的人呢，
object,
就是
there is a
都
mind.
知道根本不可能。虽然这个
For people who
外境呢就是作为一
studied
个所缘缘，
Abhidharma,
然后依靠它
they
呢
would
就是
feel
眼
that
根
this
呢
is
就是起
completely,
一
this
个
is
增上缘
impossible,
的
this
作
is
用，
definitely
然后
impossible.
依靠这两个
Because the
因缘呢
eyes
产生这个眼识，就是这个是我们基本的规律。
the
但是
eyes
阿难呢就
as
是因为不知
the
道，阿
cause
难
and
就是
then
所谓的
the
眼识呢
object
应该
as
是
a
在根的
condition,
中
then
间存在的。
over
所以
there, because
哪
of
有这
the
样的？就是
cause
这
and
个不合理
condition,
的，对吧？如果这样
then
的话呢，那
you'll
我
be
们的
able
这
to
个
see.
眼识
But
呢，
then
也有
over
根
here,
的一部
Ananda
分，也
saying
有
that
尘的
in
一
the
部分
middle
的。
of
就
eye
然后
and
这根的一
in the
部分呢
middle
跟
between
跟
the
这个
eye
混
and
在一起，
object, there
尘的一
is the
部分呢
mind.
就是
How could
跟
that be
尘混在一
possible?
起。这样的话，
And
眼识呢就是
Ananda's
也有
idea
这个
is
色法
that
的，
the
就是
mind
无
has
是物质
partially
的
that
这
is
个
the mind
一
and
部分，也
partially
有
that
根
is
的
the
这个
object.
能见的就是一部分。
So
所以
you
跟它
have
自己呢就是
partial,
什么
so
本
the
体都没
mind
有的
is
一部分的话
partially
呢，
the
那完全
perceiver
的
and
非常
partially
理
the
解。其实有
perceived.
始终就是这样的，就是他们不
In
一定要有
fact,
一个东西，就是让通过生命出
For
来的。
the
那
kind
这
of
样的话
people
呢，
who grasp
你的这
onto
个
solid
根识的话呢，就是
existence,
就全部都是
they
混为
that's
一
how
谈
they
的。那
perceive.
如果这样
And
的
in
话呢，
such a
你看
way,
那个
then
尘
everything
和
would be
根呢，就
very
是又混在一起
chaotically
了。
mixed.
然后这个
You're mixing
尘
up
和那个眼识
everything
识呢又
together.
混在一起。尘和
Because your mind
什
is
么
then
那个
mixed
还有
with the
识
eye
跟那
and
个根
with
呢，就是
the
又混在一
object.
起。这三个法呢，就是
All
就
three
就
are
是
all
混在一
mixed
起的话呢
together.
那就你根本不知道是哪个
And
是
in
识，
such
哪个
way,
是
you
境，
don't,
哪个是
you
根。
can't really
如果你
differentiate
没有这
where
样的话呢，
is
那一
the
起练习是没办
consciousness
法的。
and
如果
where's
同
the
一个时间
the
当中，
mind
这
and
三者
where's
都
the
一起要
eye,
练习的话呢，那最
where's
后
the
所谓的
object?
眼识是到底是它是一个心识呢，还是一种这
Is
个
the
无记法
mind,
呢，还是一种
is
这
the
个
eye a
什么东西
mind?
呢？
Is the
就
eye
根本
an
没办法的。
object?
所以
Is the
这
mind,
个
is the
一个是
eye
这个非常对立的，就是这几个法呢，就是能取也好，索取
an
也好，或
inanimate
者是根也好，
subject,
尘也好，
object?
这些呢就是全部都在混
So
在一起的话呢，
all
那
of
就是
if
不合理的。
all of
啊，
them
就是
are
刚才那
mixed
个
together, then this doesn't
无
make
非呢
any
就是应该
sense.
是指的是根，就是然后那个体质呢就指的是这个境吧，就如果这样的话呢，就是这全部是对立的，就是它是这个
If it
对立的
were
话呢，就是
mixed
全部都怎么
together,
会是变成就一起拥有呢？就是没办法。
Since object has no
这是
perception while
第二个
substance
方面呢，
has
就是不是
perception,
这
then
个
the two
一
would
起
stand
的
in
不是这
opposition.
个合在一起的话
Then
呢
it
那么
it
就是
can't happen at
非
all.
就是
You
知
can't
不
find
知
even the
啊，
middle,
那么这个
and
时候呢，
everything
就是
would be
可以说是
mixed
非知和
together.
非不知。
The next
啊，这
one
里
is that
非知
if
和
it
非不知呢，就是
if it
因为
did
它不
not
是在一
combine
起
with the
如
two,
果不是在一
it
起的
would
话呢，
then
就是
be
根
neither
呢
perceiver
它
nor
不是这
perceived
个
and
尘
would have
尘
no
呢就是不
substance
是根
or
那么
nature.
心呢就是也并不是在
Because
跟它
object
在一起
is not
如果心跟
eye
尘不在
is
一
not
起
the eye
心跟
and
那个根不在一起，或者是
the
心呢跟
mind
三者
is
不在一起的话呢
not
那怎么会是它有一种体性呢？就是根本没有体
mixed
性。
with
所以在这
neither
个
the
时候呢，
eye
就是怎么
nor
叫
the
根简呢？
the
所以
object.
用我们这个观察
It is
大
not
家
mixed
应该
with any,
应该明白了
and
吧
then
就
how
是
could you
它的这
say
个所谓的是吧？就是这个
where
尘
would the
和
characteristic
尘
of
和
middle
尘
be?
和这个根
How could
中
you say
间有
there's
没
a
有
middle?
系，就是这个很容易的。尘和
It's
根之
quite
间有
easy
联
to
系的方式呢
differentiate
不可
the
能有的。如
eye
果
and
它们
object
三者有
between these two? Is there a mind?
简单来说的话。
And how can you mix all three together? If the I and object doesn't have any relationships, then the mind would be a solid or would be isolated existence in the middle and it doesn't make any connections. Did you understand?
好，不明白也没办法，我就那么
It's okay if you don't understand. I can't do much because I've already tried my best to explain it to you.
啊？是吧？可以了吧？
We've finished,
事故因
right?
子当在
So over here,
纵
therefore you
使
should know
是
that
对吧？
for the mind to be in the middle is
你
impossible.
笑什么？
What are you laughing
还
at?
没懂什么？
You do not understand.
当这这把年，同那你别站那，大姐。 Jirganan
Lam ti bay Jabim Zolim Joab Jolvara Sham Deepa Sarjanam Shabjayam Jitina Dagna Kam Jigim Chadaparajar Kayam Abshan de Daram Niravaram Samzop Shanchabaram Beresanjipshan Shabjagali Janam Janila Ba de Daja Chirions Dagparajar Shanchabashawan Jonshag Jaravata Sanji Tiji Rapta Conversation Shokji Simjana Ganam Janila Ba de Dagatan Milab Devarajaram Doa Ganji Chuji Donamana Temperature Jariwa Am Depression Shantabab Shurba Tanam Dabshura Jam Dua Kanda Jiwa Temperature Sereba Kandam Champur Jiwana Startab Dagana Raptam Jombarisho Jarava Ganji Jisum Hob Jeratim Zambub Shurba Zob Shirija Salatamam Jurba Million Tagapa Tagta Manyam Jumila Chuperisho Haye kata latan of janakala telawam tagdama yakanamanda doa ganji janam chatambar tamchala kata daki chuftanando desham parul shinnar abzun dem shanchibisim namayam jidmajir adipa ganam japar jirpata teta mali yonsub shanvarasho Yodama Daljin de Namalim, Trujam Jitin Doanam Sayang, Chatara Paramochima, Chakpabshan, Yarda Namkara Topa Metarafshel, Jangam Chundam Shanam and Chatsam Barang, and so on doom Alarapta, Javarafshel, Deva Takalam, Doakam Golajan, Doatam Jadalana, Pambarafshel, Shanjabab Shurba, also Zopshidajan, Simjan, Takam, Shutam, Tambaram, Jib, Zambo, Shurba, Taganar, Afternoon, Maam Karapa, Kandab, Shurba, Dakim, Shudam, Tombera, Kaf, Shurba, Titagatan, Tagatam, Jokbara, Shur, Litan, Yakanamatan, Simji, Shurba, Tagatam, Olam, Chita, Shell, Dagla, Pamberam, Dolpa, Jopo, Tagav, Zambo, Shurba, after Stumban. Tagta Chaparasho, the Dagi Namaya, the Marion, Sanji Jim Kurvim, Gombo, Namam, Gomsama, Tagta, Daki, Jaravafta, Mawam Karapak, and the Mature, the Tagalayam, Churpa, Jachirabja, Jaravanam, Jetam, Burchums, and a jam, Shantabab, Churpak, and the number of she lives on board Churpa, number of John Wayan. Maam Karabak and the Jadparabja. Stepat Hamchalatayam Korwanam, Sunama Yeshi Taganam Zalavni, Taptanga Shira Batam Zanam Taratam, Yundan and Kanji Mazalam Zolotur. Darchitana Dalinilla Janam and De Jantar Samji, my cap Sardinam, Sarditi Winam Jipala, Shantabab Sharabab Jojan Tavarabja. Tetara Mali Tamchala Shosaya, Chatzamam Chula, the Saman Salinalagi, Sardi Jamso, Janama Jamso, Tam, Karapa Jamsuru, Chuchan Raptamji, Sonchi and Laga Jamsu, Dakalaji, Jalava, Kanayan, Laganam Tagapa, Doa can Jim Samba Chevjanaya, Sardi, Sonla, Tagam Jiparabja. Shakbu Jarava Tamjada Tagam Kurlum Saranamarapta Korvaya, the Tagakaya, Soya Mazalala, Bloy, Tobjib, Dakjangaraptamji, Mawam Karapa Tamjadam Jiparaya, Kachi, Chiki, Dakjam Jiparabja, Kayam Karapa, take some answer. Kachi Chashi Jina Jiparivshit. These Mashaba Maya Sangega, the Kachi Shigla, the gift, Tata, the Taka Nerfio Yalala, Yamara Kerpo, Namtarato Jimji. Kaya, these Mataka, Jamkolaba, the Taka, the Chigetan, Umbarajaba, the Taramali, Shonam and Tamchadata, Jarava Taka, Janam and Kolamji. Kaya, Mavshin and Jitin, Korov Nyanganandi Parap the Jam Tartun and Gombo Kanji Don't the Damcho. Condemn near weaves them to the Namada, can near Goya Tapert of Dagata, Ganda Yondan of Shalbert Namada, Ganda Chapa of Shambata, can name game him Sunamet of Dagatam, Chapa, me Parajarpa, yes, shit of Sherabatab Tams and of Dagaki, Shanchabat Namayan Tagada Parashet. Late Donamayansa Tagapsida Jam, no more to Namagandam, Jumper of Shadav, the jet on Namato Miller of Shirija. Zambo should have birthed on nerves of Pervia. Janama jam to a number at Tapsida Jan, Simpson a jam to Tagana, number Durum, Chunama jam to Rapton, Tom Shirija. Yes, she jam to Raptor, top of shit. Should buy jam to a number at Tapsida Jam, Molama jam to Yonsas of Pervia, Hardy jam to Rapton, Chupsida, Carpa jam to Mature Jalapervia. Kaya di sama siapa jarva yuf sang cipu siapa mula masih terkena mab zambo siapa sang cipu sang dini tekan abdaki malib zopervia jarva kenje tije towa pa kangga mana kente zam jib jam kiba de tam chong berjat berser Tamchalarabdo Litanga Tang Yid Janam Tagajam Shurpanam Tagajanam Yon Tagaba Moab Zambum Kibam Chendrawa Dame Darajan de Dam Somperation Kanegi Wab Zambo Jelabub Sharam Jam Holagin Molama Jelaburja Mawam Karapak and Majover Dave Shava Malib Zopervia Shopatagna Tayu de Makirachi Yundanam Jansa Zomi Parashov Shapat Melepalan in nature. Tetagam Charpa Tamchalam Salavarvia Nam Kim Tarti Kirpa Chatambar Simchana Manim Taya Divjan and De Chatamali Tam Yumon Tajarapa Daka Molam Taya Desam Kayam Shoji Janam and Tai Parim Chanajanti Jalavanam Lapal Deva Chaganamajan, Jangab, the Nyalakarparam Paravavi, Kanging over Jerpun, the Tunim, Shanchavan Chuka, Jesus, Ramoshan, Lanchi Zamiam, Tarpa, Tepana, so Namatambum, Chotam, them Jeru, Kangi, Zamsha, the Mulam, and the Tabi, Tin, and Son Tamcha, the Pavaram Ger, Tin, Chokopung, and Barapavayan, and Awam Tai, they are them Yeramton. They Taganya the Paravnilla, they were in so, Metzim, the Rea, Paraon, Cantab Zambo, they on Chendraver, they tagaram Purumatogo Division. Tamilang about the deep Panama, Kanga, Mushi, one gives she pataga, they Zambo should bam the Judan, Yerta Malay on serve shower. Yeshi dan zitam tanamada ritan kadanam da dambaram jerb the tamar tagamam buti matab jitin sambo kanam should param jer sanchibisha wan zhong de dim yerim ru soni sim janam pam sharat dem degaste sanchibisar jim korlor of the korb the namade tam chipa tam chadam tal kayam zambu should be molamandam chawa tan tuntamalonaya they number mamba sanjim chanam sanch Chocolate somnia mapshedji. Chitterim Kimbadan, Kandab Zambo, they are Division and they Tagakanji, Jesus of the Lobsher, gave and the Tagatam Chatter of Mo. This summer shepherd Jervatam to the GM, I can't lamb Chotam, Narbate. Daka gave us and the cannon jam, Zambo, Jobser up the Moravia. Daganam Chimim, Deep Shirapana, Japatam Jadatanam Sham Salate, Monsamana, one time, Tim Tony, if they were Janjan. There's one in the Mulam and the Tagajam, Tamcha the Malim, Muntam, Jervarasho, the Tagamali, the king also of Gam, Jitin and Jet to the Simpson and Pamper of you. Jarva, Jelam Corazon Jaga, Tir, Pamotam, Bashandam, Zilirji. Now I'm Tai, Jelly Munsamanda, Longtan Bayam, Ducky, Tertusho. They're not Ducky, Longtan, Raptovani, Telepam, Boshi, I'm Takjay, blow it of cheap shorter, Namsaya, Simpson and Amla Pamba, Mambodia. Zambu should be Mulam and Dumbaya, Giwa, Chonzala, Ducky, of Sarapa. They named over Mulam, Giwanam, Kachi, Chiki, Tamchalam, Jervarasho. Shabam dem ngo bim so namam thai tam ba kang thu tin do dem ngalap chavar shang wa nam wala khwa mi de pani re ba thu par so malam jel bon da ta kan chak so thai do kan la pham shi di chang kan da zang bo jam bu jong tre te ngan son ni nam ma le ston var Sandir kasamam nib shan lebatam chuni la manjar dim bab shan lebatam game dana mab shan dam bab shan lebaji chataram go amol la manjar parasho talaya tha pansan jaya awam budana zohai bami dhiji durji dan jam je jabanam ru de balam bakar mantolon repa khwachi sim ji mi de ban zo javla survan dev thi jadar gomb shan la banyan laj khayala chi dam dibar shanji olo sorta to dol me ran salang me la dal handbar queen ji pa bam jova sa samajarwa jam sum chan ni ji ge la shin chin bob shi ba salam me la jam sa on va nyam ta gam do ta pa yes na wan chok sa do jam sob shang la mo ji bu nyam jer to dong ki ji zin ma la sur va de ba ka ti man jer dur ji shi sab tan chan nim za bim shok jem khor lo cha ba nyem jer lam chen yun tam si sang mai tam do phan de rang ta chong jer ji jam ni jer va thi cha da zam mo tam tha dan lam chong jam su nim thi to ba yo men lak sam de bu rim man do tan nan jap game sa bara jer ji la pa sam dan ngar men zam ba yam de pa so ji Tartam shel jabam shavi talam ti var Taftanam shagm tarab deep chashi sho Omma badra gara palma sadada Omma badra gara palma sadada Omma badra gara palma sadada